the strongest technician of the Hidden Sand Village. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451, Phantom Beast Frozen Bird. The moment Shiraishi set the light blue gem with diamonds, a special energy flow suddenly occurred in the silver gloves. Although the regeneration core stores chakra energy, it is also a kind of will. After passing through the time and space barrier and causing mutations, it condenses and takes shape the original biological power in the skill card system point. At the same time, it absorbs the devil fruit energy from the pirate world, which is equivalent to condensing 18 kinds of special phantom beast fruit abilities, which are stored in these gems. As for the gloves, they assist in the activation point. Different from the glasses system, the pair of gloves created by Shiraishi himself had a deep understanding of them, so the moment the light blue gemstone was inlaid with diamonds, he understood what was happening. Devil fruit frozen bird. The frozen bird has beautiful blue feathers on the outside. Its wings are said to be made of ice. It has a crown composed of 3 dark blue prismatic feathers on its head, and its eyes are red. Its beak is short and grey, the same color as its long slender legs. The freeze bird has a long colorful flag-like tail that is longer than the freeze bird's body, and is the same color as the crest. The creature currently displayed on Shiraishi's gem is the frozen bird icon. Unlike taking the devil fruit directly, it is now a combination of the power of the gem and the devil fruit, so Shiraishi is essentially borrowing this power. Although it was successfully activated, an icy coldness surged into his heart. For an instant, Beishi's conscious world seemed to be in a freezing hell. After a crisp chirp, a huge blue ice bird appeared, roaring in with an extreme blizzard. In the sharp cold wind, Shiraishi looked at the frozen bird in the sky and realized that this was the same situation as his encounter with Necrozma and Arceus. The phantom beast and the regeneration core had a certain consciousness after awakening. The moment the huge blizzard hit, Shiraishi did not avoid it, but stepped forward step by step, letting the frozen bird's wind and snow fall on him. Seeing that this human being was not afraid of him, the frozen bird immediately stopped attacking. You must be feeling uneasy in this strange world, right? After awakening the consciousness of frozen bird, he was naturally in a state of fear for the world of pirates. Most people were still unable to detect its existence. It was rare for a human being to communicate with it to appear. Frozen bird's restless heart gradually calmed down. Shiraishi stepped forward with a very gentle tone. I will find a way to send you to your hometown, so please trust me. After looking at each other for a moment, the surrounding environment suddenly became quiet, and the huge frozen bird turned into a dazzling holy light, completely opening the light blue gem and the glove, representing the ice column. In the real world, when Ace and others were commanding their pirate ship to carry out all the treasures of the solar pirates, the Navy's flag unexpectedly appeared outside the sea area. Navy. Shiraishi looked at Solar, who was beaten with a bruised nose and face, and showed a cunning smile. So you have contacted the Navy. Originally, Solar planned to teach Shiraishi and the others a lesson and send it to Colonel Huangcha to deal with. Unexpectedly, now that the Navy has come, he has not been dealt with. But I have a question. Shiraishi spoke softly, looking at the number of naval warships on the port. Even if you have reached some ulterior secret, why does the Navy send warships of such large tonnage? Warship. Shiraishi is not blind. The tonnage of his own pirate group and the pirate ships of the solar pirates are already considered the size of ordinary ships in this era, but the level of warships now appearing on the sea are obviously not those of ordinary navies. The average tonnage of pirate ships and ordinary naval warships in this era is around 200 tons. However, the warships in front of us are not just 200 tons. Solar was a bit unable to react, but the yellow tea guy only had 3 warships under his command, and they were all of small tonnage. When did these hillbilly pirates have the illusion of large tonnage? But when Solar raised his head and saw the giant warship in the distance, he was also in a state of confusion, because he recognized that this was the sign of a warship belonging to the Navy headquarters on the Grand Route, not a small warship like the East China Sea. The warship's firepower and navigation alone are among the most advanced in this era. Even if all the ships of the pirate group surround it, this giant warship can still be destroyed with huge firepower on the deck of the warship. A tall, broad-chested, muscular old man was staring at Red Deer Island Point. There is a scar on his left eye, his eye is blue, and his head is full of grey-white short hair. Today he specially wore a dog head hat and a Navy Justice cape. To go out. Point Colonel Huang Cha from the Donghae branch stepped forward awkwardly. In a small place like Mr. Garp, you really don't need to take action personally. Garp frowned and said casually, Red Deer Island was my favorite place to visit in the past. I heard that a group of pirates had controlled this place for so many years. It really made me very unhappy. I didn't even come here for a rare vacation this time. I'm thinking about it. In the past few years, Garp and Sengoku have been fighting on the front line of the Navy. This time it is rare for them to take a vacation in the East China Sea. They wanted to go to Red Deer Island to enjoy the scenery, but unexpectedly they heard that it was controlled by a pirate group. Point in a rage, Garp naturally drove the warship directly to Red Deer Island. As for Huang Cha on the side, he was also a little embarrassed, thinking about how to spread the news as the Navy continued to approach the dockport. Shiraishi saw that Ace and the others had not transferred all of Solar's wealth. Thinking of this, Shiraishi set his sights on the giant warship opposite. Point light blue light shines on Shiraishi's body. The moment the frozen bad gem on his gloves is activated, Shiraishi seems to be combined with the power of frozen bad. Point with a loud explosion, Beishi took the lead, and as the power of the frozen bad was continuously released, the entire sea surface began to turn into layers of frost. Point snowing. Garp is a little confused. The climate on Red Deer Island means it won't snow at all. Point. While the silvery white snowflakes were falling, Archer Hamadura on the ship turned his head away and ignored it when he saw that Shiraishi had the ability to be a phantom beast. After picking up a gem. Point ice gradually formed on the sea, causing Garp's warship to be unable to move forward. At this time, a pair of frozen wings appeared behind Shiraishi. As he slowly lifted into the air, a light blue light condensed from his mouth and shot out from the distance. Point the fighting stance is a bit strange, but now I have just mastered the ability of the frozen bird of the phantom beast species. UU Reading www. Your Kanchunet can only cast freezing light in this way. Compared with ordinary ice and snow moves, this move has a very terrifying rapid cooling effect. If ordinary people are hit by this light, they will directly turn into a bunch of frozen people. Point. While several sailors on board were still stunned, Garp suddenly grabbed a cannonball and roared, "You guys, get out of the way, fist." Bone meteorite. When Garp threw it with all his strength, the cannonball produced a special airflow and was blasted out. The winding force generated around it actually collided with Shiraishi's freezing light at this moment. Point genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 452. Troublesome Rookie Pirate Group. In the world of Naruto, in the collapsed Pure Land of Paradise, Hagoromo Shinto, Ghost Light Hazuki, and Uchiha Kid simulated a special sealing array with 3 attributes to temporarily control the mutated world. Point at the same time, Shiraishi's thinking brain is constantly observing the changes in the Pure Land in a special monitoring posture. Point. Although the main body has left this world to find a way to save the world, Hagoromo Shinto and others do not dare to be careless and are also wary of the 6 Paths Sage. Point. Although the world is frozen, the two sides are always in a state of confrontation and game, each with their own plans. This unexpectedly interrupted ninja war and the infinite postponement of the bet between Shiraishi and the 6 Paths Sage behind it seems to continue to unfold in other worlds in a new way. Point in the pirate world, a huge roar resounded across the sea. Shiraishi quickly took a few steps back. After just one encounter, Shiraishi recognized the other party's identity. Point. Since he is a hero of the Navy, there is no need to stay here to fight. He has no desire to fight. After returning to the shore, he looked at Ace with a dull face beside him and coughed lightly. "What are you waiting for? Everything has been moved away." Ace was a little confused. The ship just now seemed to be Grandpa. "Idiot, you are preparing to retreat just because you know." Yes, although he was already a big pirate, Ace was sincerely afraid of Garp. When he noticed his grandfather's appearance, he didn't have much time to play around and just followed Shiraishi and the others on board the ship. Point at this time, many more artillery shells were coming. but Kikayo showed off his excellent sniping ability as an archer and directly took out 6 arrow clusters and fired them at the same time, suddenly shattering all the artillery shells from 3 directions. This hand also shocked Garp, who was holding a telescope in the distance. This sniper ability, under the current circumstances, Shiraishi and his gang had no intention of staying on Red Deer Island and slowly drove the pirate ship to prepare to evacuate the scene point as for Garp's ship. Due to the cold air released by the freezing bird just now, the surrounding area was frozen. Shiraishi's small boat bypassed the warship and quickly left the island. Lieutenant General Garp, what should we do next? Let's break the ice first, although you can smash the glacier with one punch. When the person attacked just now, part of the hull was frozen and covered with a layer of frost. Using your own ability to forcefully shatter it will cause damage to the hull point, but that guy should be a kind of fruit-powered user belonging to the Phantom Beast species. This is really serious. The fruit-powered users of the Phantom Beast species are not simple point at present. In this sea area, fantasy beast species are rarer than natural species, and each one has very special abilities. Garp turned to look at Colonel Huang Chap, who was also in a daze. Are the pirates on Red Deer Island that strong? If Huang Chap is really as strong as that person just now, then Huang Chap is not derelict in his duties. This level of opponent is indeed not something he can deal with. At first, Garp thought Huang Cha was a fallen navy who cheated and took bribes. Ha. Huang Cha couldn't figure out the situation, so he could only deal with it with a haha. After the navy used tools to smash the glacier open, the huge warship slowly came to the shore and docked. This guy it's Solar the Red Deer. Solar, with his nose and face swollen, was tied up and thrown on the dock. He was beaten into a pig's head and looked at Huang Cha in pain. He didn't have the graceful posture of the past at all. Colonel Huang Cha, those pirates went too far. Shut up, you pirate. You have no right to speak here. Colonel Huang Cha was also worried. Why did this guy speak without thinking at all? Now he would be implicated as well. Seeing Solar's appearance, Garp motioned to take him down for interrogation, and then began to look for local villagers to describe what had just happened. A new pirate. After roughly explaining the cause and effect of the incident from some residents, Kapu raised his chin. In this case, we can't let them go. Such a powerful newcomer will cause big trouble sooner or later. At present, the movement of the Roger pirates seems to be going to that place at any time. Garp will have to go to the New World after returning to the East China Sea for vacation. Now that there are more and more new people on the sea, the navy is becoming more and more strenuous. That one can create ice rays, which is too threatening to ordinary ships, and that guy can also fly. Phantom beasts are flying creatures that can create ice and snow and spray cold light just by combining these abilities together. This guy's bounty is at least 50 million belly or more. That pirate ship continues to pay close attention. Since they are running around, they will definitely go to Rogtown in the future. Not to mention Garp. Now Baisha's ship was filled with bags of gold, silver and jewelry, which made Ace and Shiraishi feel very good. Even the ordinary working pirates swallowed their saliva. Easily defeating Red Deer Solar and calmly retreating in the face of the naval hero Garp. This rookie pirate group has great potential. Captain Shiraishi, we will arrive at Shuangai village soon. Shiraishi nodded. I'm sorry to bother you. You can leave after arriving at your destination. No, we still want to follow you. Captain Shiraishi was not surprised that the pirates took refuge, and at the same time, he did not object. After all, the ship still needed people to control it, so there was no problem in letting them take on the job point. But there is another problem. Still need to find a good navigator. Nami is not yet born, so she must find a capable navigator to help her before heading to the Grand Line point. As for a few of his people becoming pirates inexplicably, Shiraishi didn't react much. Now that he's in the world of pirates, he naturally has to make some noise. Anahanaritsu is a swordsman. Kikayo is a sniper, Ace is barely a boatman, and Uchiha Madara, Uzumaki Menma's consciousness is currently in a deep sleep state. According to Uchiha Madara, he voluntarily handed over control of his body at the beginning. Obviously, he still has not come out of the shadow of the past point, especially after coming to the world of pirates. Reading www.ukanshu.net. After Archer Hamadara has basically completely controlled this body, he has now begun to practice hardpoint in addition to continuing to develop the Dark Nine Tails abilities. Archer Hamadara mainly focuses on physical fitness. This body is still too fragile, so it is necessary to strengthen the physical strength point. What's more, Archer Hamadara was very dissatisfied with Shiraishi's sudden acquisition of the plugin setting, so for the next period of time, he kept training and strengthening with a dark face. Listen to what you said. Is the master of Ishin Dojo in Shoyo Village also an excellent swordsman? Hanaritsu is also full of expectations for the next trip to Shoyo Village. Looking at the waves in the distance, Shiraishi murmured to himself, this time I also want to have a good understanding of the world's kendo system. Genius. Website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 453. Hanaritsu and Kshiro. Shiraishi is very interested in Kashiro, the master of the Ishin Dojo. After all, he can teach a swordsman like Zoro, and his ability is naturally not bad. He can be willing to live in seclusion in a small place like the East China Sea, and he may have unexpected gains. Frost Moon Village is also the next island under the Kingdom of Goa. In fact, the territory of the Kingdom of Goa includes not only the Windmill Village, the hometown of the original protagonist Luffy, but also the entire Gorbo Mountain. Several islands, including the surrounding Shuangai Village, are also within the sphere of influence of the Kingdom of Goa. Shiraishi picked up a book and flipped through the introduction about this country. This time, Shiraishi not only took away a large amount of wealth from Sola's territory, but also took away many books and materials collected by the pirate. Information about Shuangai Village and the entire Kingdom of Goa is naturally what Shiraishi is looking for now. Shiraishi picked up a book and read like a poem. It is spotless, and is known as the most beautiful country in the East China Sea. This country that perfectly eliminates unnecessary things can be regarded as a model of successful isolation society. Social isolation. Everyone was looking at Ace. As a native of Goa Kingdom, Ace shook his head when he mentioned this incident. He didn't know how to explain it. It's just a boring farce of the nobles. The Frost Moon Village in front of me belongs to the territory of the Altluck family. Shiraishi is no stranger to this family. Sabo, the second in command of the future evolutionaries, also comes from this family. Ace seemed to be stuck in his memories. After all, the Altluck family was already the new owner of the Kingdom of Goa in his time, and they were more powerful than they are now. This made him feel sorry for Sabo. Seeing that Ace didn't seem to know the news about Sabo, it was not convenient for Shiraishi to reveal all this, because he couldn't explain more. Most of the top leaders of the revolutionary army come from good nobles or wealthy families. Perhaps because they were exposed to too much darkness, they gave up everything and devoted themselves to the cause of revolutionaries. At present, revolutionaries in this country have not yet truly formed, but social conflicts are constantly intensifying. Otherwise there would not be so many people going to sea to become pirates in the Ishin Dojo. Kashiro is closing his eyes and recuperating. As the owner of this dojo, he seems to prefer the current days of idle clouds and wild cranes, but today, he always felt that something happened. Because from the moment Hanaritsu set foot in Shoyo Village, Kashiro noticed something unusual. This is the intuition of the swordsman. The door of the dojo opened slowly. Today was not a day for teaching students, and logically no one would come to visit. However, Kashiro didn't seem surprised and looked gently at the people who entered the dojo. Hanaritsu held his soul-cutting sword and walked into the dojo step by step, accompanied by Shiraishi and others. However, when Hanaritsu entered the dojo, Kashiro's eyes were not on the others. With just one glance, Kashiro was sure that the woman opposite was a top swordsman. Among the swordsmen Kashiro knew, only Hawkima Hawk could compare with her. Even Kashiro was shocked by this comment that came to his mind involuntarily. However, he trusted his intuitive judgment. As the two sides looked at each other, Kashiro noticed that the woman in front of him had no flaws at all, and every move she made seemed like that of a pure swordsman. Hanaritsu, who was in a good mood all of a sudden, felt a sense of joy at the sight of a hunter. Sure enough, Shiraishi was right. There was such a swordsman on such a remote island in the East China Sea. For a moment, Hanaritsu felt a little itchy. Even Ace was very surprised. He did not expect that there was such a person in Shuangayu village who was worthy of Unohanaritsu showing such an expression. It was not surprising at all when Shiraishi saw Ritsu Unohana's reaction. After all, he brought Ritsu Unohana here so that she could have a good communication with Kaoshiro. Although Unohanaritsu is now the same as Kikayo, they all follow him to save the world. They seem to have no desires, unlike Ace and Uchiha Madara, but Shiraishi knows very well that Unohanaritsu is still a swordsman in essence and desires. Fight more swordsmen. Kaoshiro may be a good opponent. Unohanaritsu didn't make any move, but the killing intent released from his body had already put the entire Yishin dojo in a state of shock. The killing intent was concentrated to the extreme, and even Uchiha Madara, who was still practicing on the ship, was alerted. That woman can burst out with such strong murderous intent. Who is she? Why is there a sense of wasted time? Pure murderous intent, like a sharp sword, was approaching Kaoshiro. However, the latter did not seem to be frightened by Uchiha's terrifying sword intent, but showed an unexpected look. A swordsman who enters the Tao through killing. Kaoshiro looked at Unohanaritsu's eyes and couldn't help but show a hint of admiration. A swordsman who enters the Tao by killing without indulging in killing. You are really very powerful. Generally speaking, swordsmen who enter the Tao by killing will eventually become madmen or murderers, but Unohanaritsu has been operating the sword for many years, which makes Kaoshiro sigh that there is someone outside the world, and it is the first time he encounters such a existence. Maybe it's because my other profession is a doctor. Uchiha Light showed a smile. As the team doctor on the White Rock ship, she has now begun to look for some medical books to read and review. Perhaps because of her identity as a doctor, she can freely switch between two different states. Since it's called Ishin Dojo, then your kendo is called Ishin Ryu. I don't stick to any one kendo school. Kaoshiro's answer actually made Unohanaritsu laugh. You reading www.ukanshu.net. This answer makes me very proud. A wooden sword was held in Unohanaritsu's hand at some point, and the first move made Kaoshiro's eyes become serious. King Shin Ryu? No, it seems to be Shinto Munen Ryu, but it also has the gesture of drawing a sword. I once boasted that I had mastered all the schools and sword styles in the world, so I defined my swordsmanship as the 8000 styles, and my name is Unohana 8000 styles. The name is Yazen Ryu, and the battle for the swordsman suddenly begins. Although the wooden sword is in Unohanaritsu's hand, it releases a domineering killing intent. Even a swordsman like Kaoshiro feels like he is on the sea, constantly feeling the stormy waves. General stress. The after image flashed, and Kaoshiro, who had resisted Unohanaritsu's murderous intent, also raised a wooden sword with the pride of a swordsman, allowing him to face Unohanaritsu directly. Yachen Ryu? It's a very domineering name. Let me learn from it. Kaoshiro, sword. Energy surged throughout the dojo. Unohanaritsu and Kaoshiro only had one meeting, leaving everyone behind, and starting a communication between swordsmen. PS. In the 60th volume of the manga, it has been proven that Shoyo village is part of your kingdom. When Luffy and Ace went to rescue Sabo, there was a scene where Zoro was also training himself. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 454. Chakra After Effects. In the Ishin Dojo, two swordsmen held wooden swords and started a sword war. Unohanaritsu flashed past, and with his first sword strike, the sword light and hurricane produced by the wooden sword came in a flash, as if the enemy was wrapped in it, and would be cut and torn into countless small pieces. 8000 flow blood wheel. The sword intent pierced the brain, and Kaoshiro saw that he could not avoid it. He could only endure the stinging sensation of his brain being disturbed by the needle, and suddenly pulled his shoulder. As the wooden knife in his hand turned, a sword light was generated, smoothing the knot. Zihili's attack point after the swords of both sides clashed with each other and produced an explosion. The airflow generated by the sword's edge dispersed. Unohanaritsu turned over in midair. During the fall, the wooden sword in his hand accelerated and swooped down again. The seemingly simple battle was actually just a moment ago, when Unohanaritsu used various kendo styles, some of which Kaoshiro had encountered before, and some that he had never heard of. As for Unohanaritsu, she was also in a happy mood. Kaoshiro mastered many schools, including some special schools, such as the three-sword style formed by three swords, and the multi-sword style which she encountered for the first time. Although the principle is not difficult, Kaoshiro's resilience, and will also infected Unohanaritsu. Kaoshiro was as calm as a mountain, in a defensive posture, and in the process of constantly fending off Unohanaritsu's attacks. He saw the latter's hair suddenly falling apart, as if he had turned into a human evil ghost. In this state of Meozahuaretsu, she has truly entered the Tao. Her figure seems to be unfettered by the wind, and she actually changes directions, based on the illusion. With the help of the force of her fall, she stimulates cyan light and slashes through the sky with a sword, giving people the illusion of being unable to resist. It was obvious that during this confrontation, Kaoshiro became more and more strenuous. It would be difficult for Unohanaritsu to defeat her, but Kaoshiro was not a weakling. He straightened his back suddenly, raised his hands in the air, and the wooden sword condensed a strong light of sword intent. Suddenly, extreme darkness appeared around Kaoshiro, and the darkness was dotted with bright and hot stars, as if the universe had arrived in miniature. This is a high-level application of sword intent, confusing the opponent's sight for just a moment. Although Shiraishi was watching the battle, he also discovered the secret of Kaoshiro's move, and secretly admired in his heart. Being able to use such a sword technique is worthy of being Zoro's master. At this moment, Unohanaritsu seemed to be shrouded in darkness, but she rushed out of the darkness without looking back. She took the wooden sword directly at Kaoshiro without any hesitation, and relied purely on intuition to fight. With a strange scream, Meozahuala's hair was disheveled, and the moment he waved the wooden sword in his hand domineeringly, the entire dojo ground seemed to be cut open by an invisible sword, like seawater, and a gap of more than 10 centimeters wide was opened, extending all the way. This sword, the sword light became narrower, and the airflow at the corresponding position in the air was completely separated. The roof above was also cut into two, directly alarming other people in the dojo, including Kaoshiro's wife. Seeing Kaoshiro fighting with others, his wife looked worried, but Kaoshiro gave him a gentle and reassuring smile. As Kaoshiro moved quickly, the wooden sword in his hand was cut open, and a green hurricane blew up. From bottom to top, it rose into the sky and rushed towards Unohanaritsu. The latter's wooden sword slashed domineeringly again, and the invisible sword was shattered. Its offensive point at this time, Kaoshiro's wooden sword folded and folded, creating a storm that blew away a lot of the sword energy released by Unohanaritsu, causing them to fall around. In just a few minutes of fighting, both sides showed their profound knowledge of swordsmanship, but Shiraishi is now a little worried that Unohanaritsu seems to be getting more and more crazy as they fight, and if he kills Kaoshiro by mistake, it will cause a big fuss. Thinking of the cold current released from Shiraishi's body, and trying to enter the dojo for support, Unohanaritsu slowly returned to his mad state. At this time, the wooden sword could no longer withstand her power, and broke into pieces at the same time. Kaoshiro on one side was also sweating profusely. Although his wooden sword was not broken, he knew very well that, if it was a real fight, his chances of winning were not good. That's it. Beishi, who stepped into the battle circle, did not seem to be affected by the two men's sword intent. The cold current continued to spread on his body, repairing the pillars of the dojo that were about to be broken. It turned out that the two men had just released the sword light and almost demolished the entire dojo. The cold air released by Shiraishi temporarily stabilized the pillar, and he said very politely, "Sorry for causing trouble to you. This time we are just passing by Shuangayu village for a visit." Devil fruit powers, but this man should also be a swordsman. Although he does not have as strong a fighting spirit as Miyachiru, he is still a strong man. Soon Kaoshiro set his sights on the rest of Unohanaritsu and his group. It has to be said that even Kakayo and Ace, who became transparent this time, gave Kaoshiro a different feeling. After the two parties had a brief exchange, they were invited by Kaoshiro and the group stepped into the courtyard in the backyard of the dojo. Unohanaritsu, who has returned to normal, has no emotions or sorrows. Shiraishi always feels that she seems to have something on her mind and is not very involved in some topics. "I'm fine. I just remembered something from the past." Sensing Shiraishi's gaze. Uotaholi shook his head and showed a smile. You came to Shuangayu village specially. You must have other important things, right? Well, I want to ask Mr. Kaoshiro, how can you improve your personal physique? Shiraishi's physical reactions are good in all aspects, but in terms of basic physique, there is still a gap compared to Ace and other native humans in the pirate world. In essence, he still has the high attack and squishy physique of the Naruto world. Point how to solve this problem. Shiraishi thought about it or found Kaoshiro, the master of Ishin Dojo, to solve this problem. After all, he can train Zoro like that. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Kaoshiro naturally has unique methods. Constitution. After Kaoshiro conducted several simple tests on Shiraishi, he also showed a look of surprise. Mr. Shiraishi does have strong fighting ability, and the power of one blow is very terrifying, but he has serious flaws, and the overall strength of his body is too poor. It's like being soaked in a toxic substance for many years. It makes your body cell density very fragile. After thinking for a while, Kaoshiro shook his head. I have no way to solve your problem, because this is the domain of a doctor. Actually, there is another person on our boat who is in a similar situation to me. Uchiha Madara's situation is the same as his own. Shiraishi knows very well that, although his strength is good now, if he wants to survive in the pirate world, he must solve the sequelae of his chakra physique. Otherwise, his fragile skin would not be able to withstand the power of a blow from the world's top powerhouse. I have a good friend who will come to Shuangayu village in the next few days to check up on my wife. Her medical skills are very superb, and she should be able to solve this problem for you. At present, Kaoshiro's wife is already pregnant. The doctor came here to help with the prenatal checkup. Kaoshiro has absolute confidence in her ability, so he decided to recommend her to Shiraishi and his party. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 455. Ivankov, the Demon King. I didn't expect Mr. Shiraishi to be so proficient in the traditional cuisine of my hometown. In Kaoshiro's residence, Shiraishi and Kaoshiro chatted for a long time. It must be said that the owner of the Ishin Dojo in front of him has rich knowledge and broad insights. He is well aware of the customs, humanities, and geography of many countries. I've only heard a little bit about it, but Mr. Kaoshiro is truly knowledgeable. The two drank a small glass of wine, and the chat atmosphere became very lively. Shiraishi, as the leader of the ninja village that was the strongest in the ninja world in the past, was more sophisticated in people's ways than anyone else on the ship, so naturally he and Kaoshiro had a heated relationship. As for the other people on the ship, it was rare for them to recuperate in Shoyu village. After all, it only took a week to arrive from the world of Naruto to the world of pirates. Although there was no battle in the middle, they did need a good rest. Mr. Shiraishi's talent, just a pirate, is really. Kaoshiro seemed a little regretful that Shiraishi had turned into a pirate, but the latter didn't care. Anyway, I have come to the world of pirates. How can I live up to myself if I don't become a pirate once? Besides, becoming another faction requires too much planning. It's better to be a pirate once. Without any restraint. This is what Shiraishi wants in this world. After all, his real ties, such as his wife and children, are mainly in the world of Naruto. In the world of pirates, for Shiraishi, maintaining a free heart is enough. Because they needed to wait for Kaoshiro, a friend who was proficient in medical skills, Shiraishi and his party temporarily settled down. During this period, Uchiha Madara also came to the Ishin Dojo. Obviously, he was also concerned about the so-called chakra sequelae, so he was in urgent need of repairing his own physical problems like Shiraishi. The existence of chakra directly leads to the weakening of body functions. In a sense, is this itself a conspiracy of heaven? Uchiha Madara thought for a long time afterwards, and finally asked a topic that he had been concerned about for a long time. Chakra is originally the energy they absorb from the Dan, which is why the human physique in our world has become so fragile. The chakra fruit created by the Otsutsuki clan was essentially a plundering and colonial strategy. After Uchiha Madara figured this out, he developed a strong murderous intention. Hey, Kaoshiro, are these two boys the patients you are talking about? Why do I feel that they look healthy? After Waiting for several days, Aishin Dojo finally welcomed his friend Kaoshiro. A strange man with a huge dark purple explosion stepped into the dojo, and his head was so big that it could hide people. She has long and thick eyelashes, light blue eyeshadow and purple lip gloss, and her clothes are also quite weird. Mesh stockings and a cloak, a tight low-cut jumpsuit, and a large skull tattoo on her abdominal muscles. Embryo Ivankov. Shiraishi was able to identify the other party at a glance. He was so recognizable. But he didn't expect that he would become the Demon King now. Remember, he was supposed to gain the power of the hormone fruit a few years later and eventually become the Kamabaka Kingdom. As the queen of the Kamabaka Kingdom, it is said that the Demon King Ivankov has excellent medical skills. He has revived people who doctors thought were incurable and countries on the verge of death, leaving behind the legend of the strongest transvestite king in history. The hormone fruit is also a magical devil fruit. This fruit can control the body's body temperature, pigments, growth, and emotions. It can transform humans inside the body, and even change gender, and become a new human. If it is a hormonal fruit, then there is indeed a way to adjust the bodies of oneself, and Uchiha Madara to cure the shortcomings of chakras equally. Kaoshiro briefly explained. The two of them seem to have been poisoned by a special poison, which causes special mutations in their bodies. Has your body constitution changed? The looks of these two boys really make me happy. It has to be said that both Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara are good looking beings in the world of pirates. Uchiha Madara looks arrogant and looks like a teenage version of Sasuke, while Shiraishi's face has become more refined over the years, so he may have trained with him in the past. Related to magic. Therefore, Ivankov's eyes lit up when he saw the two cute boys, and since he was recommended by Kaoshiro, he was not an evil person. At this time, a blood red needle condensed in Ivankov's finger, and it quickly penetrated Shiraishi's body, extracting part of the blood. Although Uchiha Madara resisted, he snorted after seeing how Shiraishi believed in Ivankov. Let Ivankov check it out. After analyzing the blood and other tests of the two people, Ivankov seemed to have a serious look on his face. Is the problem serious? Ha. Your physical fitness is indeed very fragile compared to ordinary people, and it does not match the powerful hidden strength of your body. It seems that, in order to become stronger, you have to pay more than ordinary people. People who work hard are always appreciated, let alone two boys with poor physical constitution. After Ivankov fell into a state of confusion for a moment, he decided to personally help the two solve this problem. Shiraishi can't explain the current situation of the two of them, but since Ivankov has found out what's going on in his body, there must be a way to cure it. Where's the cure? In order to cure your physical condition, you have to pay a huge price, because I need to inject 3 different hormones into you too. 3 hormones. Ivankov blinked and thought for a while. Water controlling hormone, necrotic hormone, and the final healing hormone. The bodies of Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara have long been corroded and fragile. To solve this problem, according to Ivankov, it is better to completely destroy the body cells. To put it bluntly, water controlling hormones are a detoxification method. At the moment when the body cells suddenly collapse, Ivankov removes the remaining toxins from the body and then injects super healing hormones. It sounds like a random treatment plan to break down a person's body and then grow it again, since there is no influence of chakra energy in this world. After being expelled at one time, the body structure of the two people can basically be rebuilt according to Ivankov's statement. This treatment will shorten your lifespan and cause you to endure tremendous pain. Have you thought about it? Without any hesitation, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara both nodded and expressed their willingness to accept this treatment plan. Then, let's start now. Driven by the power of the hormone fruit, Ivankov directly injected the first hormone into Shiraishi Uchiha Madara. In an instant, severe labor pain caused the two people's expressions to change dramatically. Every cell in the body, including the internal organs, was stimulated like a knife twisting the whole body. Even two strong men who had been in the ninja world for many years suddenly covered their chests and were dripping with sweat. Both Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara's faces turned blue. It was obvious that the power of Ivankov's special hormone had put them on the verge of life and death. At this time, Ivankov injected the second and third hormonal energy from UU Reading www.ukashu.net. causing Shiraishi to grab the ground viciously, almost breaking the entire earth into pieces. The terrifying cold current, ice and snowstorm, like a wild horse running wild, it spread from all around. The same goes for Uchiha Madara. His eyes revealed fierce fox pupils, and the will-o'-the-wisp of death filled the top of the dojo. 2. Phantom beast species. Now, it was Ivankov's turn to be surprised. When did a species of phantom beast that was even rarer than the natural type become a commodity on the street? Can you meet two of them casually in the East China Sea? P.S. The Shemel King obtained the hormone fruit about 3 years in advance, and the plot requires relationships. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 456. Vice Captain. In the Aisha dojo, under the raging cold wind, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara were enduring great pain and torture. His face almost turned red, all the meridians in his body appeared, and his heart kept beating violently. The rampaging frozen bird and the dark nine-tailed energy made Ivankov look at the two people in front of him cautiously. Kishiro, isn't it rare that you didn't find out that these two boys are phantom beast devil fruits before? Smiling and scratching his head, Kalshiro said a little helplessly, I really didn't pay attention, but this is not a bad thing. The more potential they show, it means that we are helping a certain big shot in the future. Kalshiro's previous sword skills focus was on Unohana-ritsu, and he didn't know much about the strength of the others. Although he was a little surprised by the strength and potential of the two, he saw other aspects. The potential of the fantasy beast species and the two of them is endless. Compared with some so-called super newcomers appearing in the Grand Line, these two are called super newcomers compared to the later Great Pirates era. There are not many devil fruits circulating around the world now. Not to mention the natural type or the animal fruit phantom species. Even the general animal type and superhuman type are very rare. At this time, Ivankov felt that the cold air and will-o'-the-wisps around him seemed to be decreasing, and the violent airflow around the two people gradually stabilized. His eyes couldn't help but rolled crazily. They seem to have adapted. They have really terrible willpower. After all, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara are not ordinary people. Tortured by 3 kinds of hormonal power, their bodies are rapidly improving at a speed visible to the naked eye. During the whole process, even the Demon King Ivankov feels an inexplicable awe in his heart. The two people who stood up slowly suddenly burst out with evil spirit. Although it was not domineering, Ivankov was a little afraid of the power that would burst out of them. They are obviously 2 cute boys. Why does it seem like I have the illusion of meeting 2 kings? The white stone surrounded by ice and snow took a step forward, and the power of the ice and snow began to return in an instant. The power of the phantom beasts of the 2 people who were originally rioting and restless gradually stabilized. After a while, the physical conditions of Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara were completely stabilized. These 2 boys are not ordinary people at all. Why haven't I heard of them before? It stands to reason that a strong person of this level is at least a supernova pirate, but they obviously look like newcomers at the moment. But they give Ivankov the feeling that they are by no means ordinary newcomers to pirates. Thank you very much. I feel very comfortable now. Shiraishi and Madara Uchiha exuded a foul odor. A large amount of toxins had been excreted from the body, and their appearance was a bit grey. When the two came out after a simple wash, Ivankov's eyes lit up. The appearance of the 2 boys seems to have improved to a higher level now, especially the black-haired boy, whose cold temperament is even stronger. After Shiraishi put on his glasses, his smile became very sincere. Thank you Ivankov for your help this time. We, the Sand Ninja Pirates, owe you a favor. Shiraishi clearly felt the changes in his body. After Ivankov eliminated the remaining chakra toxins in his body, the cells in his body grew in a new way, especially the frozen bird's fruit ability, which was more integrated with himself. And Ninja Pirates. Uchiha Madara raised his eyebrows, seemingly dissatisfied with this title, but Shiraishi didn't seem to notice his gaze. This is Uchiha Madara, and he is the vice captain of our pirate group. Vice Captain. Uchiha Madara tried to break free, but Shiraishi held him firmly in his arms, who looked like a young man. Coupled with the force of hormones he had just endured, Uchiha Madara was still a little weak, so Shiraishi held him tightly. You bastard. I didn't promise to be the deputy captain of the Sand Ninja Pirates. Konoha doesn't want you anyway, so why not come to Sunagakure? After the two looked at each other for a moment, Uchiha Madara's face turned cold, and he no longer paid attention to the madman Shiraishi. Ivankov did not doubt Shiraishi's words. Judging from Uchiha Madara's potential, it was not strange to become the vice captain of such a pirate group. Ha 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 ha. It turns out you are a newly formed pirate group. No wonder I haven't heard of it before. With such a captain and vice captain, the Sand Ninja Pirates will definitely set off a huge wave in this sea area in the future. Ivankov's help to the two this time also forged a good relationship, which may be of great help to him and those like-minded partners in the future. A big shot who can become the leader of a country is naturally not a simple character. The next step for Ivankov was to go to Kaoshiro's backyard to check on his wife's condition. Uchiha Madara, please become my companion in this world. Shiraishi's words made Uchiha Madara raise his eyebrows. Comrade, do you think this word is very ridiculous? Since he was not a smooth talker, Shiraishi was very direct. In this world, you and I don't have any conflict of position, and you are strong enough to serve as the deputy captain of this pirate ship. Only the two of us join forces, you can completely impact the world. Kikayo and Unahanaritsu's personalities are not suitable for serving as vice captains. Ace said that his heart is with the white-bat pirates after all, but the history is wrong now, so he has not left, but it means that he can accept this identity. Only Uchiha Madara, with his strength and arrogance, is very suitable for this position. In the next few days, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara were quietly recuperating. During this period, Shiraishi also asked Ivankov about the Kailau stone. Do you want to buy seafloor stone? To be precise, UU Reading www.ukashu.net wants to help our vice captain build a weapon. Sea Tower stone, as its name suggests, has the same ability as the sea. It can be understood as a solid sea, and its actual effect exceeds that of the sea. Not only can it make people with abilities powerless, but it can also temporarily turn people with abilities into ordinary people. It's the same, whether it's the natural type, superhuman type, or animal type. It is equivalent to the crystallization of the sea, and its composition is similar to that of the sea. It can be said to be the solid form of the sea. Therefore, in addition to being afraid of seawater, people with devil fruit abilities are also afraid of sea stone. Kailau stone is often used to deal with people with abilities, so Shiraishi wanted to use it as a weapon. Hahaha, you have to ask that guy Kaoshiro about this. Remember, he still has some inventory, but it is very difficult to make a large weapon. At most, he can make some small weapons, daggers and the like. Ivankov did not explain why Kaoshiro had the Kailau stone, but this did not prevent Shiraishi from finding Kaoshiro. A few days later, Shiraishi completely crafted the sea stone he had traded from Kaoshiro into a special weapon. This is PS. It has been confirmed in the comics that the origin of Kailau stone comes from the country of Wano. Kaoshiro has not clearly explained his origins, and I dare not casually assume his origins, such as Wano country, to avoid being slapped in the face. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 457. Navy attacks. Shiraishi made a Uchiha Madara Uchiha fan with the same shape and specifications as Uchiha Madara's Uchiha fan in the past. I have to say that this Kailau stone weapon was made very cleverly. Even Kaoshiro was amazed and couldn't understand how Shiraishi thought of making a weapon in this way. In fact, as a Suna ninja, making ninja tools and making puppets is a craft. Shiraishi has always dealt with the Shirogakiji family, so he naturally has experience in making ninja tools. Although the forging level is not as good as that of the top masters, this Kailau stone weapon is definitely a fine weapon, not even much worse than the original Uchiha fan that Uchiha Madara had in the past. Mainly because there are too few seafloor stones, so you have to choose to make a round fan. Haha, how is this possible? After finishing his rant, Uchiha Madara took a step forward, suddenly turned around, and flicked the fan, releasing countless ghost fires from the fan in his hand, burning gorgeously in the air. Having the will-o'-the-wisp dance like this, Madara, are your hands itchy? Uchiha Madara did not deny this. While swinging the fan in his hand, he reproduced the Shura style of the past shinobi world. Then let's try it. After our rebirth, how much each other's strength has improved. Facing Uchiha Madara's challenge, Shiraishi didn't have any surprises. Since he was asked to voluntarily become a member of his team, this battle was unavoidable. The battle between Shiraishi and Madara Uchiha naturally attracted the attention of Ivankov, Kishiro and other crew members on the ship. Considering the destructive power of the battle between the two, the battle venue was moved to the island area outside Shimazuki village. The two of them are about to fight as soon as they are in good health, but I'm looking forward to it. Ace watched the two fighting indifferently, but Ivankov and Kishiro watched very seriously how the two would fight next. Perhaps this in itself was also a curiosity, to see how much their strength had improved after their physical transformation boom. Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara dodged in an instant. Their fists collided violently, and their arms seemed to be shaking. At the same time, their feet sank into the ground with a click, and they became shorter by several centimeters out of thin air. Just step on the ground? What's up with this domineering physique? Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara have never fallen behind in their physical training in the Naruto world. Therefore, after transformation, they can exert the original powerful fighting power of their physical bodies. Shiraishi held the sword out of its sheath. His right arm rebounded, and his body reverberated. He took a sharp breath, and a special freezing cold light condensed around him. In the light, he drew a clear-cut slash. Uchiha Madara is still a little wary of the ability of the freezing bird, so he is very cautious in the face of this cold ice bad slashing sword light. Countless will-o-wisps form a flame vortex and become a blocking method. But the combined power of Shiraishi and Frozen Bird seemed to integrate this sword into the power of the Phantom Beast species. The power of the sword was astonishing, and even Kaoshiro's eyes lit up. This kind of offensive method is very exciting. Uchiha Madara is also not to be underestimated. He is seen holding a Uchiha fan, and while the will-o'-the-wisps are surrounding him, he raises his knees and swings his legs, hitting the combo with small swipes. At the same time, the sword flashes out, and he collides with the instep of Shiraishi who appears behind him. Upright. Then the two people quickly switched attacks. The Hailao stone fan and the Shiraishi silver knife collided with each other, producing a metallic collision sound. Then, while the weapons were shaking each other apart, the two people directly punched each other again. Each felt the other's power. Shiraishi gritted his teeth. I told you, you are the deputy captain of this ship. Haha, let's wait until you beat me first. Madara Uchiha jumped coldly, activated his Dark Nine-Tails ability, stabilized his center of gravity, and wildly fired out will-o'-the-wisps from behind, giving people a ferocious and ruthless attitude. The will-o'-the-wisps all over the sky came violently like a meteor shower. Faced with Uchiha Madara's attack, Shiraishi's silver knife was covered with white frost and ice crystals formed. The will-o'-the-wisps clashed tit-for-tat with each other on the sea. Silver and white flew around, and Uchiha Madara's figure mysteriously disappeared in front of everyone, as if he had not appeared. Hallucination interference. It is obvious that Uchiha Madara has mastered the Dark Nine-Tailed will-o'-the-wisp ability and can skillfully display transformation methods. Then Uchiha Madara appeared on the other side, his fist condensing countless purple burning flames. Shiraishi was pushed backwards by his heavy punch, but he also disappeared invisible. Ice can also create illusions of sight. At this time, Beishi slashed out a ball of crystal clear white cold light with the silver knife in his hand and rushed towards the enemy's face. His attack routines were continuous and there was no gap. The cold light flew and arrived in an instant. Uchiha Madara suddenly exploded with a powerful physical aura, and 9 burning dark flame tails emerged from all over his body, with him as a core, dancing wildly in all directions. At this moment, Uchiha Madara's eyes are getting colder and colder. With each move, switching between attack and defense, he has the power of the dark fire. He can release it whenever he wants, and withdraw it whenever he wants. The power of the Dark Nine-Tailed Phantom Beast gradually developed his own fighting style in his hands. Just as the two were fighting fiercely, they saw several naval warships appearing on the distant coast, surrounding Shuangai village at extremely fast speeds. Colonel Huang Chap, with a serious look on his face, led the elite navy of the East China Sea branch to launch a fierce bombardment on the entire outskirts of Shuangai village, that is, Shiraishi and his ship. With a bang, a big hole was blasted out of the hull of Shiraishi and his pirate ship. Above the warship, Colonel Huangcha looked at the white rock pirates in the distance with a proud look on his face. These hateful pirates dare to embarrass me in front of Lieutenant General Garp. Now their ship must be ruined. Ha ha ha. Colonel Yellow Tea almost hated Shiraishi and his group. Because of their relationship, the solar pirates collapsed, and even he was reprimanded in the eyes of his superiors. Because this group of strange new pirates alarmed Vice Admiral Garp, the head of the Navy in the East China Sea ordered a reprimand. At the same time, Huangcha also mobilized 3 warships, plus his own 3, for a total of 6 warships. Use all your strength to destroy this pirate group. Red Deer Island is very close to Shuangai village. After a brief investigation, they found their traces. After the warships were mobilized from above, Colonel Huangcha took advantage of Lieutenant General Garp to be recuperating in Windmill Village, so he led his troops directly over, wanting to go first. Kill Shiraishi and the others in one step. Considering that there are people with the fruit ability of the Phantom Beast species in the pirate group, reading www.uanshu.net. Huangcha's attack will start directly from their ship. What? Huangcha sent troops directly to Shuangai village. Garp almost choked while eating senbei. That guy. Prepare to send support immediately. Does that Yellow Tea really have a brain? Did he think that just a few more ordinary warships could deal with the Phantom Beast fruit user? As a hero of the Navy, Garp could not afford to watch his colleagues obviously die, so Feng Chen's servant led his troops to the direction of Shuangai village. Genius website address. Mobile version reading URL. Chapter 458, Angry Garp. Shiraishi's pirate ship was blown apart, and the deck was completely flooded. It was obvious that the ship could not be saved. The Navy came out of the blue, and then forcefully blew up, and sank the only ship of his pirate group. Even Ace was confused. Not because of a sudden attack by the Navy, but because an attack with just one ordinary artillery shell would basically fail. How bad is the quality of this ship? Ha ha ha. You two boys, you want to go to sea? A pirate ship of this level is not enough. Ivankov showed a hearty smile. Since he was going to go to sea, he should be fully prepared. The pirate ship in front of him was obviously not suitable for launching into the water. Shiraishi thought about it and realized that the quality of the ship was indeed not very good, so he was a little embarrassed and said, "It is said that the truly outstanding shipbuilders are all in the capital of 7 waters. Then, let's grab a Navy warship first." Currently within the East China Sea, the best shipbuilding technology is Navy warships. Ivankov's suggestion is to let Shiraishi and the others directly seize the Navy's warships more conveniently. Seeing Shiraishi and others talking casually, Colonel Huangcha gritted his teeth and said, "They are so arrogant, these pirates." Colonel Huangcha, who became more and more annoyed as he thought about it, walked to the fort and began to control it himself, calibrating the artillery slowly. It's a pity that people like this often die very quickly on the sea. Colonel Huangcha had a sinister smile on his face. The artillery had been aimed at Beishi and others, and a loud bomb explosion suddenly erupted. Point bang. The black ammunition traced a graceful arc in the air and was fired accurately at Beishi's position. It can be seen from this hand that Colonel Huangcha's aiming skills are not impeccable. Practicing such a skill in bombardment on the sea cannot be achieved in a day and a half. Although Colonel Huangcha is a bit corrupt, his professional skills are still there. Facing Colonel Huangcha's second artillery attack, Madara Uchiha looked a little unkind and snorted for a moment. Uchiha Madara came to the deck and directly took down the Sunagakure flag from the ship. Shiraishi smiled when he saw this scene. It seemed that Uchiha Madara had recognized his status as the deputy captain of the ship. Then facing the cannonball flying from the distance, Uchiha Madara jumped directly into the air, stretched out one hand, and his palm was already reaching for the second cannonball flying over. Haha, idiot. Colonel Huangcha grinned and looked mockingly at Madara Uchiha, who was trying to catch the cannonball. Not to mention how powerful the impact of the cannonball was, but the current temperature of the cannonball was enough to burn a person's hands red. What's more, the gunpowder in the shell is unstable at high temperatures and will explode when hit. Colonel Huangcha narrowed his eyes slightly and brought the binoculars, preparing to see the next scene of blood and flesh. This scene made him very expectant and excited, and a giggle appeared at the corner of his mouth. But let them down. Uchiha Madara, who was flying in midair, turned into an undetectable rotation the moment his palm came into contact with the cannonball, and his whole body twisted his waist to produce a high-speed rotation in midair at the same time. Uchiha Madara was spinning a second giant cannonball point with Uchiha Madara's powerful roar. The cannonball has been thrown back by Uchiha Madara. There was a dull explosion, and the shell that was thrown back hit the muzzle of the artillery accurately again. The whole process seemed to be replayed in time. The force of the explosion immediately caused the Navy's standard artillery to explode. The splashing fragments carried the high temperature and scattered in all directions, causing many Navy around them to wail in unison. Now that he has taken action, Uchiha Madara will show no mercy. He holds the fan for a moment and creates a huge storm that instantly bounces back the incoming shells one by one, directly turning into a series of sea of fire on the warship in front of him. Following Shiraishi's method of using his body strength to move in the air, Uchiha Madara quickly moved in midair and suddenly landed on Colonel Huangcha's warship. The moment he landed, a murderous aura filled the warship. How could a few ordinary marines despise and humiliate the Shiras of the ninja world in the past? Since you destroyed the ship, be prepared to pay the price. In an instant, countless dark fires shot out. Under the control of Madara Uchiha, they pierced the clothes of all the Navy at extremely fast speeds. The powerful corrosive fire completely destroyed their hearts. Uchiha Madara's horrific killing methods shocked the remaining Navy on the warship. Colonel Huangcha looked at this scene with a horrified expression. This kid kills too hard. Kaoshiro didn't expect that Uchiha Madara would be so ruthless and directly kill so many people in the Navy. Just when Shiraishi was about to say something, Ivankov shook his head. The Navy found out that we were with two boys. In order not to implicate us, so that Madara boy took the most violent measures. Anyway, you two go back to the dojo first, and we will handle it here. After Ivankov and Kaoshiro left, Shiraishi's gap was so obvious that after Madara Uchiha had cleaned up the Navy around Colonel Uchiha, he took the head of the planner of this naval operation. Sure enough, I'm still stuck in the Warring States period thinking of an old antique. Although Madara Uchiha had just used his method, he was indeed afraid of implicating the relationship between Kaoshiro and Kaoshiro, but his actions were too harsh. Not to mention that Shiraishi had noticed another giant warship approaching rapidly in the distance. Lieutenant General Garp is here. Huangcha saw Garp's ship and hurriedly rushed to Garp's warship. At the same time, the Navy on several other warships rushed to support. However, the will-o'-the-wisps on Uchiha Madara's hand condensed into a rotating wheel. Like a dark energy, it turned into a terrifying energy shock on the warship. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Oops. Realizing that Colonel Huangcha was in crisis, Garp punched out, charging straight at Madara Uchiha with astonishing power. He had just arrived in a hurry. Although Garp knew that the black-haired kid in front of him was very powerful, he did not take him completely to heart. He thought that his ordinary iron fist of love was enough to drive him away. But is Uchiha Madara a submissive person? Facing Garp's fist, the dark nine-tailed energy generated by Uchiha Madara formed a protective coat. In the process of forcibly withstanding the punch, the fan in his hand suddenly shot out and cut off Colonel Huangcha directly in midair. The punch produced a huge impact, forcing Uchiha Madara to take a few steps back. At this time, Shiraishi also appeared on the warship and gently supported Uchiha Madara from behind. Looking at the tragic death of Colonel Huangcha in front of him, and the large number of Navy corpses around him, Garp's face turned blue, and he was in an extremely angry state. Ace in the distance suddenly showed a fearful look. Even he felt extremely horrified when he saw his grandfather in this state. You brats, who are you? Facing the furious Garp, Shiraishi held the silver knife in his hand and stepped forward. Send ninja pirates. I'm Aoki Shiraishi, the leader of the entire pirate group, and this is my partner Uchiha Madara. Genius. Website address. Mobile version reading URL. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 459, The Whereabouts of the Second Gem. On the damaged warship, Facing the tragic death of Colonel Huang Chap, the aura released by Garp was enough to make the surrounding navy and ordinary people tremble and fear, but Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara didn't seem to be frightened by him, and the two assumed a confrontational stance, which made Garp look even more unkind. "You two brats, do you really think being a pirate is just a game of house?" Garp's fist roared out. At this moment, it was like a rolling cloud of electricity erupting into the air with a roar like an explosion. Combined with the explosion of muscles on his arms, it gave people a terrifying power. The air in front of the fist seemed to have been hit by a bomb, and invisible ripples spread out in circles. Armed haki, when used by Garp, showed extremely terrifying lethality. Several tails burning with dark flames behind Uchiha Madara formed a continuous attack. At the same time, Shiraishi put on his gloves this time. When the icy cold wind blew away, Garp was a little surprised. Two phantom beast species, and they are two people who have never heard of the phantom beast species in the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. Is this the reason for your arrogance? No matter how special the opponent's fruit power is, Garp will always swing his fist against anyone he is seen moving and attacking continuously, creating shocks one after another, like a terrifying humanoid beast. Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara each stood at different angles to avoid and block. In this process, Uchiha Madara seemed to have some pre-reading and judgment of Garp's next move, seeing and hearing the domineering power. Unexpectedly, Madara Uchiha actually reached the threshold of Haki's haki during the battle. In the Shiraishi pirates, even Ace possesses Overlord haki and armed haki. Although he has some understanding of the haki of knowledge, he is not proficient in it. Uchiha Madara purely relied on his own talent and understanding of haki, and he learned the haki of seeing and hearing colors in the battle with Garp. To put it bluntly, the power of being able to strongly feel the opponent's voice is called the power of seeing and hearing haki. Once this power is improved, one can read the location and number of enemies outside the line of sight, as well as the actions the opponent will take in the next moment. Uchiha Madara's ability to master the color of knowledge has a lot to do with his psychology. He needs to be calm to ensure its use. He cannot use the color of knowledge when he is emotional and loses his mind. Compared with others, Uchiha Madara, who comes from the Uchiha family, has powerful insights that ordinary people can't imagine. Coupled with his own personality, he has touched the threshold of domineering. The haki of insight has many functions, including sensing attacks, predicting the opponent's next moves, sensing the strength of living creatures, sensing the emotions and thoughts of creatures, and sensing the location and number of objects outside the field of vision. These are the basic abilities, and range of insight and intensity varies from person to person. Although Uchiha Madara is only preliminary mastered now, it has made Garp pay more attention to this pirate group. Two species of fantasy beasts, and the core members all have such great potential. It was just too cruel, and it was a pity that two good young men in the navy were killed. At this time, Ace in the dark put on a very sneaky looking cloak, and then covered himself up. Observing the battle in secret in a very obscene manner compared to others, he belongs to the future of this world. Considering that his identity is inconvenient to reveal, Ace suddenly thought of adopting this costume, but his real target was a special warship next to the battle between the two sides. The warships allocated by the East China Sea Navy branch also have different qualities. The warship in front of you is the fastest and most complete warship on site, except for Garp's ship. That's the goal. The sudden burst of burning flames hit the ship, and Ace chose to grab it head on. After these sailors were kicked off the ship by Ace, other crew members from the previous pirate ship boarded the ship one by one. Get to know this brand new warship. While Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara were fighting about Grandpa, Ace decided to take control of a naval warship as the group's new pirate ship. But now this group of ordinary pirates who had been forcibly recruited by Madara Uchiha now looked at the two people fighting with Garp with expressions like they had seen a ghost. Oh my god, that's the naval hero Garp. Although they were 1 against 2, they were still not at a disadvantage, which was enough to illustrate the strength and potential of the two. Shiraishi is now about the same age and appearance as Uchiha Madara. It is entirely because of the previous blessing of 3 special hormones that Shiraishi's body function suddenly reached the youngest peak state of 18 years old. Shiraishi had not gone all out. Seeing that Ace's action was successful, the freezing light on his palm suddenly shot out. Garp directly activated his iron fist to block the light. Faced with the failure of his own freezing light, Shiraishi had no choice. Any surprises since it is a localized devil fruit power mutation? It is not surprising that Haki is useful for it. This is the same principle as the skill system of the Naruto world point. Although the two of them have achieved physical breakthroughs, they have just started this world after all, and there is no need to fight with Garp. The previous series of battles were all for Ace to seize new battleships as soon as possible. After seeing Ace complete his mission, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara looked at each other, and the cold air and will-o-wisps combined to form a huge energy blast that rushed directly to the navy behind them. Kapu clearly knew what his opponent's purpose was, but he couldn't help but save his men. After turning around and blocking the attack of the two men, Uchiha Madara and Shiraishi had already retreated. During the retreat, Shiraishi activated two basic skills of Frozen Bird itself, Tailwind and Fine Snow. The Tailwind accelerates the speed of the entire warship, while the Fine Snow freezes the sea surface and interferes with the movement of Garp's warships. Shiraishi, who obviously possesses the Frozen Bird fruit, gives the navy a huge headache in terms of escape and interference. Looking at the tragic death of Colonel Huang-chan and the corpses of a large number of marines around him, Garp's face became extremely gloomy. In addition to his dead subordinates, there were also a large number of valued marines who needed to arrange their own treatment. After arranging these chores, Garp was a little tired and prepared to call the navy headquarters. Facing the successful retreat of Shiraishi and others, Garp covered his face. Although he was unwilling to do so, it was not the time for him to act impulsively, because the general navy was no match for those brats. Apparently a powerful new pirate group has appeared in the East China Sea. Malinfando, in the office of the navy headquarters, a very strong old man with a broad chest and tawny skin was holding a phone. His hair and beard were both white and formed a special mountain shape. He is Supreme Marshal Sora of the navy headquarters. What? There are two newcomers who can escape from you. Are their abilities still that of the phantom beast species? As Garp described it, Sora's expression became increasingly gloomy. Not only in the navy, but also in the underground world of the East China Sea. Many people paid attention to this incident, including even a group of big local pirate forces. Haha, a new group of new people appeared in the East China Sea this time, located in a certain area of the East China Sea, on a merchant ship. There were only corpses and blood flowing on the deck. A silver-haired man wearing a special gemstone ring heard the news, and his expression was constantly thinking. If these two newcomers can be recruited or cooperated, then this time oneself will have enough power to enter the Grand Route. Thinking of this, the silver-haired pirate showed a smile. Then get ready to set sail. I really want to meet these two outstanding newcomers as soon as possible. Chapter 460, Bounty Released. In Marine Fandom, Sora was sitting in the conference room with a solemn expression. There is a stitched scar under Sora's left eye. He wears a sleeveless black shirt decorated with medals, exposing his arm muscles, a dark green armband, a light yellow scarf around his neck, and a white and dark grey coat. The ocean on his shoulders as a Navy and world-class senior government official. Sora has a strong sense of justice, which is why he promoted outstanding naval forces such as Garp, Sengoku, Zephyr, and Churu as the backbone. Being able to escape from Garp's hands, and being able to use the Phantom Beast seed fruit, these new generation pirates are really troublesome. Sora shook his head. Judging from the ability of the Phantom Beast fruit displayed by Aoki, Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara, it should be the ice attribute subspecies form of the phoenix, and the other is similar to the nine-tailed fox subspecies form fruit. Both the phoenix fruit and the nine-tailed fox fruit have clear whereabouts and whereabouts. This time, the appearance of two new subspecies of fruit abilities has allowed the Navy to update its Devil Fruit illustrated book. At the same time, it has also begun to pay close attention to the movements of this new pirate group. After thinking about it, Sora decided on the bounty amount for the two rookie pirates. Aoki, Shiraishi, the suspected owner of the ice bird fruit, a species of phantom beast, has a bounty of 50 million belly. Madara, Uchiha, the suspected owner of the phantom species, the dark nine-tailed fox, has a bounty of 45 million baileys. Since the fruit abilities of the two men have not yet been fully determined, the description of the reward is also ambiguous. Soon after, these new reward orders were posted in a large number of newspapers. The entire East China Sea knew that a group of incredible pirates had recently appeared. 50 million baileys and 45 million baileys were very high bounties even in the Grand Line, and this era. It shows the Navy's preliminary judgment on the extent of its threat. On the other hand, the original naval warship is now entering the stage of major renovation. As the only technician, Shiraishi not only removed a large number of naval decorations, but also reinforced the hull structure and increased the accuracy of corrections for several gun muzzles. The pirate flag of the Suna Ninja continued to hang on the bow of the ship. Although as a pirate flag, the absence of the skull symbol seemed a bit unusual, but it was not unacceptable. After traveling through several islands, Shiraishi found a few outstanding boatmen under the introduction of the phone bug left by Ivankov. While further improving the hull, he also noticed his bounty. It has to be said that the Navy reacted very quickly, thanks to Mr. Archer Hamadura's previous beautiful killing, which attracted the Navy's hatred value. But because of this, the General Navy did not dare to easily provoke them. Garp has been following closely during this period, and the two sides have experienced several chases. All because of Shiraishi's special freezing ability. The sea surface froze, causing Garp's pursuit to fail again and again. But I have to say that Garp has great perseverance. Although he failed several times, he kept biting Shiraishi and the others. This made the reputation of the Shiraishi pirates quickly increase significantly in the East China Sea. During this period of time, Shiraishi has been thinking about it for a while, and has mainly set his sights on the end of the Grand Route, Laftru. Now that Roger has basically arrived at this final place this year, the main plot of One Piece will soon begin. To go to this place, Shiraishi must collect 4 historical road signs. These 4 road signs point to the 4 islands respectively, and Lavadru is located where these 4 islands intersect in an X shape. In short, it is better to enter the Grand Line first, and then consider other things. But before that, Shiraishi had to find a qualified navigator in the East China Sea. This world is composed of the Great Line and the Red Continent, which are divided into 4 seas: southeast, northwest and northwest. The Great Line is a ring-shaped ocean area that intersects vertically with the Red Continent. It is the most magical and dangerous waterway in the world. The Great Channel is flanked by dangerous windless zones. The first half of the Grand Line is called Paradise, and the second half is called the New World. The geomagnetism, celestial phenomena, ocean currents, and air currents of the Grand Line are all in chaos. It is difficult to even confirm one's position, let alone find the island. Past navigation skills and experience are unreliable. Only the recording pointer and the permanent pointer are trustworthy. If people from all over the world want to enter the Grand Line, other than passing through the windless zone, they can only enter the Grand Line through the Upside Down Mountain. At the same time, Upside Down Mountain is also the starting point of the Grand Line. There are 7 magnetic forces extending from Upside Down Mountain. You can choose any one at the beginning, but no matter which island the magnetism starts from, once you choose it, you cannot change it. You can only go one island at a time along the channel. In the end, these 7 routes will converge to the Shampoo Islands. You can restart it in the New World. Choose a channel, and the last island you reach is Ravdru, the end of the Great Channel. In fact, the original intention of the Shichibukai under the king, organized by the world government in the future, was to contain pirates. The 7 magnetic channels were guarded by 7 powerful pirates. Unfortunately, the Shichibukai policy completely failed. Now in the East China Sea, even if there are no professional navigators, Shiraishi can still sail by relying on these pirates recruited halfway. But when it comes to the Grand Line, navigators become very important. Opposite the phone bug, Ivankov also found a solution for Shiraishi. Hahaha, there is a very powerful navigator on Cartier Island who may be able to help you Shiraishi boys. Cartier Island is a large island country located in the western part of the East China Sea. It is the second largest island in the East China Sea by overall area, and its land area is very huge. As he got closer and closer to the island in front of him, Kikayo's face suddenly became a little heavy. Kikayo, what happened? During this period of time, Kikayo has been silently following everyone. The few times he took action, he just helped to snipe the shells, and rarely actively participated in anything. But today, Shiraishi found that Kakayo was not in a good mood. The smell of blood is very strong. You read www.uuk.net as a Mako. Kakayo had a very accurate premonition of some ominous things, so before she even got close to Cartier Island, she noticed the existence of some very dirty things. Then, I'll ask Kakayo to check it out when the time comes. Kakayo's sudden burst of righteousness may be related to her intuitive judgment as a Mako. After all, the dead soul bugs in her body are now beginning to stir up, indicating that there have been many deaths in the recent past. According to Ivankov's introduction, Shiraishi and his party went to the eastern dock port to dock and were greeted by many villagers who were watching. After this period of publicity, many residents of the East China Sea knew that a very powerful Suna ninja pirate group had appeared. Coupled with that special pirate flag, many residents, although afraid of pirates, could not help but watch curiously. Just when Shiraishi and his party set foot on Cartier Island, several pirate groups with completely different flags appeared in the distant sea and began to gather in the waters outside Cartier Island. The silver-haired man looked at the sand ninja pirates on the dock in the distance, showing a strange smile. Chapter 461, Provoking Trouble Again. After entering the port, Shiraishi and his party followed Ivankov's instructions and went to the western neighborhood of the town on Cartier Island to find a navigator named Mode. You're talking about Mr. Maid. He seems to have not been home for several days. He is an alcoholic anyway, so who cares? After thinking about it, the aunt who lived next door to Moyed's house had indeed not seen that guy for a few days. But Shiraishi observed her tone and demeanor, which seemed normal, but her memory showed signs of slowness when thinking about problems. As a master of Jinjutsu, Archer Hamada naturally discovered the problem at a glance. It was obvious that this aunt had a memory deficit. Moyed, whom Ivankov recommended, was once a navigator of an old pirate group. He not only entered the Grand Line, but also came to the New World in the second half. However, Moyed, who had left the pirate life, had not adapted to his current life for a while. He drank all day long until he disappeared some time ago. But Beishi always felt that the aunt's memory of Moyed was in a vague state. Sorry to trouble you, auntie. The smell of blood is very strong. After leaving Mode's home, Kakayo looked at the area around the town and was keenly aware that there was too much coldness in the surrounding atmosphere. Regardless of Moyed's whereabouts, the smell of blood that comes from this city from time to time makes Kakayo's face become more solemn. Anohana and Kakayo are both beings with strong soul perception. The order of the three realms in the pirate world is more stable than that in the Naruto world. After human life in this world comes to an end, the soul will return to heaven without hesitation. However, if there are traces of the existence of resentful spirits, there will still be some traces left, although they will automatically dissipate after a short time. Everywhere in this town is filled with a strong yin energy, but the surrounding residents are completely unaware of it. They even suffer from the same memory loss as the aunt, which means that the situation on Cartier Island is not optimistic. In my memory, Cartier Island has not been controlled by pirates in the past few years, but I remember that there seemed to be a supernatural incident. Ace showed a scared expression when he said this. I didn't expect you to find strange places in this city. With a mocking tone, Shiraishi turned around and saw a decadent middle-aged man slowly walking out with a wine bottle. This town has long been a toy of a big pirate, and all the villagers are controlled by his fruit power puppet. I saw this black-haired middle-aged man walking out of the aisle with a red face after drinking wine, his eyes full of pity. You new pirates, get out of here quickly. Shiraishi and his group looked like pirate rookies at first glance, so the middle-aged man smelled of alcohol. Shiraishi shook his head and said, is the memory problem due to the fruit's ability? Seeing Moyed's reaction, the others suddenly realized, no wonder some people in the city seem to have some confusion in their memories due to an illusion, such as the fat lady next door to your house. She misremembered me and another drunkard, even though the two of us are in similar living conditions. Haha, obviously, he is Moyed, but looking at him, he seems to know something. If you don't want to end up like them, Moyed pointed to the underground. At this time, Beishi was silent for a long time and asked, what is the underground? Moyed had a horrifying expression on his face when he said this. Haha, they are just corpses from experiments, including women, men, old people, children. 6 years ago, the Kingdom of Kati signed cooperation terms with the world government, which included a large number of human trial developments 3 years ago. Due to various reasons such as funding and project abandonment, the human experiment on Cartier Island was abandoned by the world government. However, the laboratory that was originally defunded was operational again a year ago. When the world government was previously operating, human experiments were still carried out secretly, which would cause panic after all. However, the new laboratory controller used his fruit power to conduct tests on this island without restraint. So, which force does the experimenter belong to? To conduct human experiments on an island in the East China Sea. If it is not the world government, it must be from the background of a large pirate group. A small pirate group cannot cause such a big disturbance. Mode glanced at Shiraishi in surprise. This island is actually the territory of the Jazz Pirates, a group of followers of Belloric Redfield, and King Philip III of Cartier is the leader of the Jazz Pirates. Belloric Redfield. How could it be him? Known as the Red Earl, and Ryder the Alone, this great pirate is extremely powerful. He can rival Roger and Whitebird alone. Belloric, isn't he always alone? Seeing Baish's strange look, Moyed shook his head. Although the Lonely Red has always been alone, it does not mean that he has no followers. Philip III is his nephew and follower. Although the Lonely Red Hung has never admitted it, but with this relationship, Philip III's Jazz Pirates are very powerful in the East China Sea. Beishi and others just watched Mode continue talking quietly, and the latter's face turned ugly. You'd better not get into trouble that you shouldn't get into, and get out of here quickly. Actually, you want us to stay and help the island, right? Mode created a series of coincidental encounters, explained the origin of the other pirate group, exposed their crimes, and then asked Shiraishi and the others to leave quickly. This contradictory behavior was nothing more than trying to get the help of the Shiraishi pirate group. Shiraishi wanted to refuse, but Kikayo stood up and looked at the pirate ship on the sea in the distance. The smell of blood is the strongest over there. The laboratory was conducted on a pirate ship. Yes, at this time, Platicodon didn't pay attention to anyone. He took out the third arrow cluster of the 12 demon breaking rainbows and condensed a powerful light of energy in his hand. With a bang, the arrow cluster flashed with dazzling sparks and suddenly exploded on the huge pirate ship. The moment the explosion sounded, Kikayo slowly turned around. Sorry, I caused you trouble. There's no need to be sorry about this. It's nothing you need to worry about at all. You're adding www.ukanshu.net on the ship that was exploded by the huge fire. The silver-haired pirate no longer had the calmness he had before. He was planning to get off the ship to visit the Sand Ninja Pirates, but he looked at everything in front of him with anger on his face. My own laboratory was blown up like this. Where did the sniper come from? As the son of Philip III and the true leader of the Jazz Pirates, this silver-haired young man has been planning powerful biochemical weapon improvement technologies for his father. I have finally achieved something in the past few years, but now it has been destroyed by direct bombing. It's the Archer of the Sand Ninja Pirates. Archer, not a sniper. PS. The second update will be in the evening. I don't have time to code today. I will make up for it tomorrow night. Chapter 462, Poison Gem. Young Master Silver's expression was ugly. As Chakaf, the son of Feely III Chakaf, he had originally envisioned a good cooperation with the recently rising Sand Ninja Pirates. After all, the potential shown by Shiraishi and his team was one of the best in the East China Sea. A force that cannot be ignored. This mobile sea fortress is a base carefully managed by Little Chakaf, where various experiments left over from the original world government are carried out. Now they are completely messed up by the Shiraishi pirates. For a moment, Zio Chakafu's face burst into anger, and he quickly ordered his subordinates, as well as the king's troops in the town, to surround Shiraishi and his party. So, you're in trouble. Mode's face was a bit ugly. He didn't expect the Mako from the Whitestone Pirates to be so brave. She directly shot her bow and blew up the opponent's important test ship. I don't like the feeling inside. It has a disgusting smell of blood. Kikayo's face was a little cold. She knew that she had caused trouble for Shiraishi and his group, but she still expressed her position, and Shiraishi didn't care at all. I have always emphasized that you must restrain yourself to be a qualified ninja, but in this chaotic sea, some problems cannot be solved by simply restraining yourself. As soon as Shiraishi finished speaking, a cold light condensed on his finger, shining on the entire town. As a great pirate with 50 million belly, he originally planned to keep a low profile and come to find the navigator, but now it seems that he can't keep a high profile. Seeing this, Uchiha Madara and Ace each used their own abilities, and suddenly burning flames raged across the island. We need to capture the owner of that ship first. Who was it? Lai's eyes were fixed on the silver-haired young man Chakaf who escaped from the exploding ship. After Shiraishi heard about it, the cold air continued to flow out from behind, and the ice crystals produced were refracted and turned into a pair of dazzling ice and snow wings. The use of part of the devil fruit's abilities allowed Shiraishi to simulate the wings of a frozen bird, quickly swooping and flying, and swarmed directly towards the little Chakafu ship. What ability does this guy have? You can still fly. Mode looked at Shiraishi flying in the distance, and suddenly didn't know how to proceed. Although everything was developing for the better, the script was a bit strange. Sir, someone seems to be coming. It should be the Shiraishi pirates. Shoot them down. Little Chakafu's expression was ugly. Countless shells continued to blast towards Beishi, but his wings released cold light to freeze the shells. Under the solidification of countless ice cubes, little Chakafu's attack was completely ineffective. So, can we have a good talk now? Shiraishi opened his wings and suddenly appeared on the boat. Although he smiled kindly, everyone around him looked frightened. I am Chakav Rostral, a member of the Fili family. Noble, the Jazz Pirates are indeed the kingdom's guard force in this country, and they conduct various human experiments and plundering operations in the name of pirates. Seeing Shiraishi's silence, little Chakafu pointed his nose. This time your attack caused losses on our ship. I don't care. Oh, as long as the Sand Ninja Pirates choose to join our Jazz Pirates after the two parties merge, how about we embark on the Grand Line together? Little Chakaf's idea is very simple. The White Stone Pirates, two rare phantom beast species, are powerful larger, and the reputation of his family can at least create something famous on the Grand Line, and can even rival his own. Uncle, if you join our Jazz Pirates, I will give you an independent pirate ship and you will be the captain of this ship. Your companions will also receive the same treatment. The entire kingdom of Cartier army began to surround the center of the town. Little Chakafu sneered. Now the White Rock Pirates had no choice, either to surrender or to wait for the fate of being captured. The overall strength of the kingdom of Cartier is one of the first-class powers in the East China Sea. It has tens of thousands of domestic conventional troops. Coupled with its impressive naval strength, Chakav felt that he was sure to dominate Shiraishi and his party. This is really a difficult choice. I also have a dream. Who doesn't have dreams these days? But everyone must bow to reality. Little Chakav laughed loudly. His nose got bigger and bigger, and his mood became good. After conquering such an excellent group of pirates, the loss of the ship was nothing. But you won't trap and trick me, and then send me to the navy in exchange for a bounty. The two of you combined are only a mere 9,500 and 500 belly. This little money is nothing, but as far as I know, the financial management of the kingdom of Cartier is poor, and the wealth is shrinking every year, so you must be very poor, right? How can I prove that you are not deceiving me? Shiraishi's question was correct. Although the kingdom of Cartier has always complained about its poverty to the world government, it actually secretly accumulated a huge amount of wealth. We are actually not poor at all. Look at this kind of gem. It is very precious outside. It can be exchanged for at least hundreds of millions of belly. The ring that little Chakav took out suddenly made Beishi happy. He didn't expect that it would take no effort at all. This gem is really fake. Of course it's true. If you don't believe it, you can come and check it out. Little Chakafu was like a second generation showing off his wealth. Without any precautions, He took out the gemstone ring on his hand so that Shiraishi could come and check it out. After setting foot on the little Chekhov's boat, Shiraishi retracted his offensive and then slowly approached the little Chekhov. TSK, what's wrong with this quality? Purple. Gemstones are indeed completely different in color from ordinary gemstones, but little Chekhov showed an amateur expression on his face. Although pure natural purple gemstones are rare, they are not unavailable. That's really good, bae. She nodded and naturally took the gem from Chekhov. After observing it carefully for a long time, he couldn't help but smile. Yeah. What do you think about you reading www.ukashu.net? Let me see. Can you give me the ring back first? After being silent for a long time, Beishi showed a surprised look. What? Aren't you going to give me this gem ring? No, I just wanted to show you, but now this gem belongs to me. Shiraishi smiled naturally, without any consciousness of becoming a bandit. The whole ship suddenly fell into a cold silence, and little Chekhov's brain suddenly became confused. The machine cannot operate. Very naturally, he set the purple gem into his silver glove. In an instant, the system in the glove was activated again. Under the powerful light of energy, a second special creature suddenly appeared on the surface of the gem. Is it the poison type this time? The creatures on the purple gems released bursts of huge poisonous energy. Even Shiraishi was surprised that the poisonous creatures could have such powerful destructive power. Chapter 463, Zuuyidi. Shiraishi's teasing made Zaya Chekhov a little embarrassed. He didn't seem to realize that Shiraishi just took the gem and didn't intend to return it. You blew up our ship, and are you going to take the gems? Several guards around Chekhov angrily attacked Shiraishi with knives. Compared to his slow young master, these old pirates were more ruthless and ready to chop Shiraishi into pieces in an instant. A huge transparent light appeared around Beishi, and a toxin was shot into his body. At that moment, the expressions of the two guards changed drastically, and they started slashing at each other. Control consciousness. Shiraishi never expected that the creature in the poisonous gem would take action on its own, directly controlling the bodies of the two of them, using special toxins to numb their nervous systems and cause hallucinations in their minds. Not only the two young Chekhov's guards, but also Shiraishi's own body was eroded by special poisonous energy. Compared with the frozen bird last time, the poisonous creature this time is more dangerous in the world of consciousness. Just when Shiraishi stepped into this dark world, the frozen bird appeared with a clear cry. Frozen bird, are you worried about me? In response to Shiraishi's question, the frozen bird chirped crisply, and a fierce blizzard was generated on its body, instantly blocking an invisible toxin in the darkness. This is a strange poison that invades silently. At this time, a girl-like singing voice appeared around Shiraishi, echoing throughout the entire consciousness world space. Then countless rays of light condensed together to form a mysterious creature filled with golden light. Compared with the sneaky poisonous creatures in Shiraishi's impression, what he saw seemed to break Shiraishi's cognition. The weird and mysterious creature tiptoed and transformed into a woman. Then the tall figure stepped on arc steps and quickly approached Beishi. Then, she flicked her right arm, and countless golden dazzling light tentacles turned into single. The whip was whipped towards the opponent's neck with a snap. A tingling feeling appeared on Shiraishi's neck, which made Shiraishi look nervous, and did not dare to neglect. He pulled hard, and pulled his body back, and turned to the left to avoid the blow. At this moment, the hair on Shiraishi's right shoulder stood up suddenly, feeling that some kind of danger was approaching. He believes that this is not an illusion, because there has been a substantial collision, and even the conscious world seems to be disturbed by its poison. The tentacle directly stabbed his shoulder, revealing its existence at the moment the two came into contact, causing the mysterious creature on the other side to disappear, as if the holographic projection had ended. At the critical moment, when the mysterious creature's single whip hit his shoulder, powerful cold air burst out from all over Shiraishi's body. The power of the freezing bad was introduced at this moment, rescuing Shiraishi from the hallucination. It turned out that during the battle just now, this mysterious poisonous creature actually attacked Shiraishi's body at the same time. The extremely cold air burst out, spurting out turbulent and terrifying power. A terrifying torrent of ice and snow erupted from Beishi's body, directly causing the toxins of the mysterious creature to be temporarily ineffective. However, she did not give up. Her body turned into a huge silver foam armor, blocking the invasion of ice and snow, while releasing strange toxins. However, Beishi's true method was revealed. In the torrent of ice and snow, Beishi and Frozen Bad once again released the second move. A huge storm rolled up, and the mysterious creature was lifted up in the air. The woman transformed by the mysterious creature could not withstand the storm caused by the explosion of white stone. She was immediately thrown away by the huge wind, losing her center of gravity. Like a kite with a broken string, Shiraishi pounced again and caught up to his opponent, who had not yet landed. Pressing down with his left hand, he raised his right fist and blasted out an endless cold wave. Although the woman transformed by the mysterious creature was hit, her figure disappeared from sight at this moment. Fake hallucination. Shiraishi's heart moved. Not far from his side, a woman transformed into a mysterious creature appeared. As she staggered and stabilized her center of gravity, her true appearance gradually emerged. The whole body is made of translucent material, which is constantly changing, and has no fixed form. False my virtue, a special poison type and rock type creature from another world. Compared with the cold air of the freezing bird, Zooide's poison is more colorless, invisible, and weird. It is an excellent poison controller. The main reason why Shiraishi can attract it is because Necrozma's residual photon aura makes Zooide feel close to him. Necrozma, who has another level of glorious god identity, also has a huge influence on alien beasts. After Zooide regained consciousness in this world, he noticed a slight aura of Necrozma. So using the invisible toxins in the gems, Zooide had already controlled Chekhov and finally used him to get close to Shiraishi's pirate group. It has to be said that the original little Chekhov's IQ was not low, but under Zooide's control, he almost had his gemstone ring taken away in an idiotic and low IQ way. After a battle, Zooide was very satisfied with Beishi's ability, so he chose to reveal his true form. Seeing Zooide's body exposed directly, Shiraishi didn't hesitate at all. The frozen bird he commanded suddenly appeared behind him, and a huge storm of ice and snow fell, suddenly stabilizing Zooide. Just when Shiraishi was about to step forward, Zooide laughed like a silver bell again, and his figure twisted and transformed and appeared on the other side. Then, it was suspended in mid-air, showing a divine golden light. The ordinary Zooide is light blue, but the golden Zooide in front of him is a special existence, showing its uniqueness in this battle of consciousness. Shiraishi made it feel some kind of pleasant emotion. The moment the two looked at each other, Zooide's whole body turned into dazzling golden holy light, illuminating the world of consciousness from all directions. Zooide is very satisfied with this host. The icon representing Zooide on the gloves has been completely activated. With a bang, a special golden light appeared around the white stone. Most people, including Chekhov, were invaded by toxins, and all the nerves in their bodies were controlled by it. Terrible ability. Zooide can split into small jellyfish individuals. Reading www.ukanshu.net and silently invade the opponent's mind and steal all memories and information. Of course, if the opponent is already strong and even masters techniques such as domineering, Zooide's poison can be resisted. However, the current kingdom of Cartier could not stop the entire Sand Ninja pirates. After capturing the young Chekhov, Shiraishi took him to the central area of the town. Oops, the prince is under control. Go and inform the king. Although Zooide controlled this little Chekhov during this period, those crazy human experiments were still done by him. Seeing the disgusted look on Kikayo's face, Shiraishi smiled. Don't worry, I will make this kingdom pay the price. Shiraishi just wanted to make Kikayo breathe out a bad breath, and he didn't even consider whether other things might offend Gugeozahan. Even Moya turned into a fool and stared blankly at Shiraishi's series of terrifying moves. Chapter 464, Killing the Decisive Lord Madara. Zooide's poison is absolutely top notch in terms of the speed of clearing out miscellaneous soldiers. Under the attack of the Neurotoxin controlled by Shiraishi, the guards of the Cartier Island Kingdom had almost no power to parry, and retreated to the periphery of the kingdom's palace. This guy seems to have mastered new abilities. Uchiha Madara noticed that Shiraishi seemed to have a new ability, which could use special toxins to control human nerves. Shiraishi had never shown it in the past. You do have new abilities. It's it because of the gems on your gloves. Uchiha. Madara observed very carefully. There was an extra gem on Shiraishi's glove. He could see it very clearly. It was the same as last time. With each additional gem, his ability improved by 1 level. Ahem. You guessed it. Although Uchiha Madara noticed the gems on his gloves, Shiraishi had no taboos. No one in the world could fully activate the attribute gems, except himself. The toxin control method of Zuwide has already reached the limit of the biological power in the gem. The palace has arrived. Countless guards guarded both sides of the hall, but they were all stopped by the king of this country. As a follower of Gugeo Hong, although he did not gain the recognition of that person, he was still proud enough to slowly walk down the steps. The Sand Ninja Pirates. Philip Third Kazekage looked at his tied son below with a livid face, with a hint of anger in his voice. My son sincerely invites you to join. Why do you treat him like this? Faced with the question, Shiraishi shrugged. First, our pirate group does not need to join anyone to cooperate, and your invitation method is not to join. When Beishi spoke, Philip III's face was as hen, and there was a vague aura of explosion in his body. The invisible toxin produced by Zuwide had no effect on him. It turns out that the initiator of this city's memory problem is the king. Second, that is that he is not qualified to cooperate with us. His son was controlled by the Sand Ninja Pirates, and Philip III endured it. In that case, you can make some conditions. When the question of ransom was mentioned, Shiraishi showed a smile. Then first, we need 300 million bail as ransom. No problem. Although 300 million bail was a large expense for the kingdom of Cartier, Philip III could still afford the funds. The next step is to ask you to stop human experimentation. When it comes to human experimentation, Philip III's face is very gloomy. In our country, there has never been such a thing as human experimentation. Regarding human experiments, it is mainly for testing the development of various new drugs. Many New World Underground world bosses deliberately choose to cooperate with the Kingdom of Cartier because they want to inherit part of the world government biotechnology engineering base point. Now that Shiraishi mentioned this matter, Philip III almost cursed in his heart. You, a pirate group, are still interested in meddling in such nosy matters. The other 6 secret test sites on Dire Island are still in operation. How is that possible? Why are you? Because Mr. Kazekage said everything under the control of the illusion poison. Kazekage showed confusion. Shiraishi turned his finger. Under the control of the poison. Kazekage laughed like a fool. Your Majesty, Father, a new type of drug has been developed recently. We need more guinea pigs. Before Kazekage could finish speaking, Platicodon had already shot 6 arrows into the sky, turning into 6 shining sparks in the direction previously pointed by Shiraishi, raging over the entire capital of the Kingdom of Cartier. A moment later, huge smoke was produced, symbolizing Platicodon's thunderous means of directly destroying the secret base of the Kingdom of Cartier. Arsehole. Seeing that the laboratory was attacked again, Philip III finally couldn't bear it anymore and took action. A special spiral light appeared in his eyes, and the scene fell into a special virtual world point. A special energy swept over, and the scene seemed to be in a huge gallery. Under the control of Philip III, countless puzzle pieces were put into the gallery. To perform special transfer work. Transfer the fruit. This is a strange fruit that can transfer various emotions and cognitions to others. Simply put, it is a powerful illusion ability. It is clear that this gallery is the fruit of Philip III's way of launching. When Philip III cast it, the target was directed at Shiraishi, but the content of the picture representing the Sand Ninja Pirates seemed to be very blurry, and with the interlacing of various words and lines, it was impossible to see anything clearly. How can this be? Unable to understand Shiraishi's paintings, Philip III directly forcibly added a setting. That is, his father and son were Shiraishi's past saviors. Shiraishi must repay his kindness and voluntarily join the Kingdom of Cartier. It was obvious that he planned to take matters into his own hands and destroy Shiraishi's ability to perceive himself, making him willingly become his subordinate. The Sand Ninja Pirates are so powerful that they have successfully aroused the interest of Philip II. Beishi seemed to be stunned and then stopped moving. At this time, Philip III slowly said, "Let my son go. Follow your orders just like a robot." Shiraishi was about to untie Zhao Chekhov when Shiraishi suddenly burst out laughing. I lied to you. The existence of Zhu and the entanglement of domineering allowed Shiraishi to isolate Philip III's ability to transfer the fruit. What's more, in order to transplant this kind of cognition into the mind, the premise is to understand the painting that represents one's own thinking point. But Philip III simply couldn't understand the world Shiraishi was thinking about, and forcibly adding settings would only be self-contradictory. I have to say that compared to the world of Naruto, the world of One Piece has an endless supply of people with all kinds of strange power fruits, making it difficult to guard against. Philip III's abilities should have great limitations, one of which is the addition of cognitive settings. Once there is a flaw in logical thinking, then the random addition of such settings will be meaningless. Previously, the kingdom of Cartier could be completely controlled by him, because he only guided them to blur some people's settings and memories at the same time. The targets are mainly homeless people, or orphans and children. At this time, Madara Uchiha flashed and appeared behind Philip III. The fan polished with season in his hand, turned into a sharp light, and pierced directly into Philip III's chest. You reading www.ushu.net at the moment when the transfer fruit was opened. Uchiha Madara found that the Uchiha family, which represented his knowledge, and the picture of himself and his brother appeared in the gallery. Uchiha Madara was filled with murderous intent at this moment. However, Philip III's cognitive transformation was also ineffective on Uchiha Madara. After all, he only saw the paintings, not more stories, and the settings were added indiscriminately. The other paintings of Unohanaritsu were just swords and nothing else. As for Kakayo being protected by the Shiken no Jade, her paintings are not revealed at all. In the end, Ace used his haki to protect himself from this strange ability. No matter what, Uchiha Madara was very murderous. Under everyone's surprised eyes, Uchiha Madara forcibly took Philip III's head and kicked it down like a bowl. Philip III's beard was still trembling, and the eyelids of his eyes were still struggling. He never thought that he would be killed. Shiraishi was also a little unable to react. Uchiha Madara would kill Philip III so decisively, and the ransom of 300 million belly was not even prepared yet. If there's such a fuss, Uchiha Madara's bounty might be higher than mine. Chapter 465. Aftermath. In the year 1497 of the Heian calendar, a major upheaval occurred in the kingdom of Cartier. A group of forces called the Sand Ninja Pirates invaded this East China Sea island country and raised a butcher knife against the royal family. King Philip III was beheaded in front of the palace. As for the human experiments that existed in the Cartier kingdom, the reporting media basically did not mention a word. Obviously, compared to this small scandal, the news of the king of the kingdom being beheaded was more explosive. Then in order to arouse public sympathy, the media also listed or made up some random good deeds of the kingdom of Cartier in the past. The general meaning is that Philip III was a benevolent monarch who insisted on bringing sufficient welfare to the people every year. Even if the national treasury has been empty in recent years, it will continue to provide various tax cuts and benefits to the people under its rule. This time when the Sand Ninja Pirates invaded, the king went to negotiate personally for the sake of his people, but was viciously killed by the pirates. It's simply a heartbreaking and outrageous thing. This incident caused an uproar. The nobles and royal families of various countries in the East China Sea were in danger and constantly applied for protection from the world government. At the same time, the news also reached the ears of the lonely Red Balorik on the other side of the Grand Line. Although Balorik did not like his relative very much, he was the only follower after all. He had never admitted it in the past. After all, others brutally killed him in public, which in fact was a slap in the face for his aloofness. A new pirate in the East China Sea, as a great pirate who is as famous as Whitebird, Golden Lion, and Roger. Every move of the solitary Red will attract the attention of the world government. In the meeting room of the Navy headquarters, Sora received the exact news that the solitary Red has left the Grand Line and headed for the East China Sea. It turns out that the world government is worried about Roger's changes in the second half of the Grand Route, and there is another chaos in the East China Sea ahead. It's the Sand Ninja Pirates again. Navy. Marshal Sora's expression was ugly. This group of pirates who appeared out of nowhere did not act according to common sense. After all, Balorik is a member of the Redfield Chekhov family, and any of his actions will affect the subsequent changes in the power structure on the Grand Line. The Navy has been increasingly unable to cope with the increasing maritime situation in recent years. Now that the Suna Ninja pirates have publicly executed a country's king, it means that the world government must deal with this troublesome rookie pirate group head on, according to intelligence. In addition to Aoki Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara, there are several crew members. One of them is a sniper dressed as a Mako, who has a very powerful long-range sniping ability. Where's the information on the other people on the ship? There is a person with fruit abilities, who is suspected to be a natural type fruit burning fruit. The other one is dressed as a swordsman and ship doctor. After a long silence, Sora crushed the teacup in his hand. Two phantom beast species, a mysterious archer, and a natural fruit. The Slinoop was enough to become a considerable pirate force. Let Doberman and Jimmel go to the East China Sea to join Garp. Doberman and Jimmy are both veteran lieutenant generals. Although they are not as powerful as Garp, they are both top players in domineering and swordsmanship. In addition, they have many powerful subordinates on their fleet, making them the two most powerful men in the Navy headquarters. Allied troops with the addition of Hero Garp, this Linoop is enough to deal with a mere small pirate group. Although the Sand Ninja pirates are new pirates, they have shown potential. They must be killed in the East China Sea. Otherwise, once they enter the Grand Line and allow these guys to grow up, the consequences will be unpredictable. The current Sand Ninja pirates caused an incident, directly stabbing a hornet's nest, killing the followers of the Solitary Red, and offending a large number of world government affiliated countries. They are just street rats, no matter what point now. After being joined by the navigator Moyed, Shiraishi and his party began to sail towards Rogtown. Rogtown is known as the town of the beginning and the end. It is located in the East China Sea, near the entrance of the Grand Route. The future pirate King Roger was born in Rogtown, and was later executed here. Although Rogtown is not as famous as it was later, it is after all the entrance to the Great Sea Route. On the other hand, Shiraishi and others know very well that a large-scale battle may break out in Rogtown next. Lieutenant General Doberman, shall we wait for Lieutenant General Garp in Rogtown? On a naval warship, Lieutenant General Doberman had 4 X-shaped scars on his body, 2 splits on his face and neck, a curly beard, and flowing brown hair hanging down to his shoulders. His left eye has no pupil, and he lost one eye in a fight a few years ago. Doberman's navy coat, draped over his shoulders like a horn, is more detailed than those worn by other senior officers, and has stripes on his hat in a zigzag pattern. Underneath his coat, he wears an outfit consisting of a loose shirt and rope-like ornaments and trousers. It shows that he is a thoughtful general. He has already contacted Garp, and is now on his way to Rogtown. As for Jimmel, he will arrive in Rogtown in one day, and will be guarded by the 3 lieutenants of the Navy headquarters. Naturally, it is foolproof. Doberman, who hated pirates deeply, was smoking a cigarette. Judging from the past performance of the Sand Ninja pirates, there is an ambitious pirate group, so Rogtown and the others will definitely break through in the near future. Compared with the Buddhist Jimmel and the heartless Garp, Doberman has a lot of power, and is extremely strict in controlling his subordinates. He has the same philosophy as Sakazuki, and belongs to the same faction. How are you going to break through Rogtown? After Mode experienced the incident in the Kingdom of Cartier, he became a navigator on the Whitestone ship. This pirate ship was transformed from a naval warship. Its performance is good in all aspects, but in order to pass through Rogtown, it must break through the Garp blockade point. After experiencing the previous incidents, Garp did not leave the East China Sea, but searched for the whereabouts of Shiraishi and the others. Until this time, after the incident in the Kingdom of Cartier broke out, Garp went directly to the direction of Rogtown. It is obvious that the Navy is also preparing to set up a dragnet in Rogtown, and UU Redding www.ukashu.net is preparing to capture Shiraishi and his party. Just break through Shiraishi tinkered with some of the equipment on the ship, including some precise artillery fire adjustment equipment, which mainly ensured that the ship had sufficient firepower as the captain and boatman. Shiraishi has been improving the modified pirate ship every day. In addition to adding several special structures in terms of speed, He has also made multiple modifications to the hull point during the few days he stayed in the kingdom of Cartier. Shiraishi quickly adjusted the warship by kidnapping Chekhov and killing Philip III, mainly with low sides and square sails at the same time. The artillery on the deck was loaded into the two-side positions, and the entire kingdom's arsenal was moved and loaded into the modified two-side areas, and the huge firepower muzzles on both sides were arranged in one breath point after a series of technical adjustments. The exaggerated bow features of large ships of this era were abandoned, and the improved warship was named Shukaku by Shiraishi. Next time, I'll have to build a more perfect warship. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 466, Rogtown Ice Lotus Blooms. On a certain section of the Grand Line Point, an elegant blood-red boat on the sea point, there was a man standing alone on the bow of the boat. He had a tall and thin figure, and his white hair was braided into two braids and hung on his shoulders. He is wearing a plum red shirt and blood red trousers, black leather shoes with gold rims on his feet, a large blood red cloak with a plaid pattern on the inside, a blue rose around his neck, and a hand in his hand. Slender bat handle umbrella point. The man has red eyebrows, a gold chain hanging from his mouth, and always has an evil smile on his face. He is the great pirate Aloric Redfield. Although he hasn't taken the bat fruit yet, he still has that weird and evil temperament. Point as a big pirate in the New World, who is on par with Roger, Golden Lion, and Whitebird. Aloric is a moody person, so on his way to the East China Sea, he destroyed several naval bases and wiped out several pirate groups. To him, all this is just entertainment. Point that group of rising star brats who dared to directly kill Chekhov in his hometown in the East China Sea was the next highlight. Point the phone suddenly rang, and Aloric answered the call in a low voice. What's the matter, G? Ha ha ha. I heard that you left the New World this time, and returned to the East China Sea to avenge your nephew. The Golden Lion's voice on the phone made Aloric's face turn cold. It's not about revenge, it's just about giving the provocative brats a little color, letting them understand that being a pirate is not just a house game. Gee. Ha 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 ha. I think so too, but this time I have a cooperation plan, and I hope to complete it with you. Aloric was completely uninterested in the Golden Lion's plan. Sorry, I'm not interested. You didn't even hear what I had to say, and you're not interested because you are not the person I want to cooperate with. With a bang, Golden Lion hung up the phone angrily. He didn't expect Aloric to be so aloof and not easy to get along with at all. Captain, since he refused, let's find Roger. If we join forces with him, we can also rule this sea and the world. Gee ha 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 ha. After cutting off contact with the Golden Lion, Gugeo Zahan will once again set his sights on the getting closer and closer to the upside down mountain. Kids, don't let me down next time. At the same time, on the Shukaku pirate ship, haha, Shiraishi, you have completely angered the navy this time. They sent two lieutenant generals, Doberman and Jimmy, to join forces with Garp to prepare to attack you in Rogtown. Ivankov's phone caller expressed concern about Shiraishi's situation, to which Shiraishi shook his head. Don't worry, I will find a way to deal with it. Although you guys are very strong. Doberman and Jimmy are both veteran lieutenant generals. Although they are worse than Garp in terms of strength, they are not too weak. At least they are not sluggish, since he had cured Shiraishi and Uchiha Madara using his hormonal abilities. Ivankov has a very close relationship with the entire Sand Ninja Pirates. In addition, Shiraishi has entrusted Ivankov with many things during this period, so Shiraishi is still willing to listen to some suggestions. Wait a minute, Shiraishi, you don't seem to be worried about these things. Are you saying that you are expecting this on purpose? Shiraishi didn't mind that the matter was too big, but Ivankov quickly reacted. Ha 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 ha, Bo, your ambition is too great. Are you going to eat up all the Rogtown Navy this time? With Garp here, this goal is too difficult. Ha 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 ha, I will go to the Grand Route in a while. Let's get together again when we have time and give the two bosses a review. By the way, after finishing the chat with Ivankov, Shiraishi lay on the deck of the ship, his whole body in a state of nap. The sea breeze blowing on your face is very comfortable during the ninja world continent. As the Kazekage, I had to deal with countless government affairs every day, and I never had much time to relax and rest. Since coming to the pirate world, although Shiraishi knows very well that he cannot relax too much, it is rare to have free time and enjoy the sea breeze, which is also a comfortable life. It's a pity that Jounin is still in the original world. Although the world of Naruto is frozen, the 3 split bodies of Shiraishi can still move freely, and they are not afraid of the Sage of 6 Paths doing anything under their care. Shiraishi is dressed in typical pirate captain clothes and a triangular pirate hat, looking very casual. Ivankov is right. Your body has just been adjusted and transformed. You must have regular checkups, as the ship's doctor, Hanaritsu, is currently preparing some basic medicines from the supplies stored on Cartier Island, mainly to assist Uchiha Madara and Shiraishi in regulating their bodies. It must be said that Uchiha, who put down the butcher knife, had a very gentle aura about him. Most of the ordinary boatmen on the ship like the gentle Hanaritsu very much on weekdays, and they stay away from Uchiha Madara and Kakayo. It's a pity that they don't know that the person who likes to kill the most on this ship is actually the Mayo's Hihulai. As a shrine maiden, Kikayo meditates every day. Although her soul power is very weak, she continues to practice. During the White Stone period, she adjusted and improved Kikayo's ordinary arrow clusters, and some of them also have explosive functions. Now Kikayo is preparing some special divination and wind direction predictions, and then continues to discuss the climate characteristics of this world with Moyed. Platikatan, which inherits the Shinto yin and yang style, also needed to learn the ability to observe the climate in ancient times. As for the training, Madman Uchiha Madara and the team, he uses various weights, giant dumbbells and other exercise equipment to constantly hone his own strength. As a generation of ninja Shura, Uchiha Madara always has higher requirements for himself. Due to the fact that he was almost tricked by the previously transferred fruit, Uchiha Madara has been honing his knowledge and domineering during this period. As a genius among geniuses, Uchiha Madara mastered armed color and seeing color haki very quickly. However, compared to the concentrated practice of seeing color, Uchiha Madara only mastered the initial winding and hardening of armed color haki, and did not continue to deepen it. Practice. Uchiha Madara's top priority is to possess the powerful insight of seeing and hearing haki. Of course, this is also related to the natural fighting style of the Uchiha clan. In the current world of pirates, it is rare for Uchiha Madara to feel the thrill of fighting in the warring states period of the past, and he seems to have gradually come to like this era. Looking at Uchiha Madara, who was practicing hard on one side, Shiraishi suddenly thought of a question. Is Uzumaki Menma's consciousness still sleeping? Kyuubi boy's consciousness is still in a deep sleep. Uchiha Madara was also a little confused. Logically speaking, although he controlled Uzumaki Menma's body, his consciousness would at least resist or seize control of his body. However, Uzumaki Menma's consciousness seemed to accept all this calmly. Shiraishi stood up slowly, picked up the drink he made and drank it. What do you think about the condition of the Dark Ninetales? After turning into a devil fruit, the Ninetales' consciousness also entered a deep sleep and was sealed together with Uzumaki Menma's consciousness. Uchiha Madara has always had a bad attitude towards Kyuubi, whether it is Kyuubi in his home world or another world. Even though he is borrowing the power of Kyuubi now, he still looks down on Kyuubi. This is a bit strange. It seems that Uzumaki Menma's consciousness has not awakened, and it has nothing to do with Uchiha Madara, but other unknown reasons. So Spotted Shiraishi handed over a drink. It's also good to relax once in a while. It's good to have a drink and enjoy the sea breeze. It's been nearly a month since I took the boat. Are you still enjoying it? After Uchiha Madara made some cold remarks, he left and ignored this guy. Of course, Shiraishi didn't care about this, and handed the remaining prepared drinks to other crew members on the ship. Haha, thank you Captain. The drinks and snacks you prepared are the most delicious desserts we have ever tasted. Yes, that woman will be very happy if she marries the captain. She can eat the captain's delicious desserts every day. Faced with the compliment, Shiraishi burst out laughing. I'm already married, but I just started training my dessert cooking skills for this goal. Compared to Naruto world, the concept of desserts in One Piece world is still very backward. Shiraishi's various gel batter preparation methods will immediately open up the taste buds of these rough and raucous pirates. Of course, the pirates prefer to eat meat and other foods. Desserts are only eaten a few times and they feel good. Point behind the scenes. Many people also call Shiraishi the dessert captain. I always feel that Shiraishi's craftsmanship is inexplicably suitable for a certain Big Mom Pirates group. Point now, in addition to the 5 members of the Sand Ninja Pirates, including Moyed, Shiraishi has recruited about 40 crew members along the way. Point in terms of crew size, the Sand Ninja Pirates are relatively small. Because a large tonnage sail battleship can accommodate up to 1,000 people. Point of course, Shiraishi doesn't have that much money to support them. Currently, there are more than 40 people left on the ship, mainly technical boatmen and navigators. 5 of them are responsible for combat work. Point in the sea area around Rocktown, the Navy will definitely deploy heavy troops. Together with other warships of the East China Sea Navy, the scale will be at least 10 naval sailing warships in addition to the Navy. There is also the possibility of the aloof Red. The next battle in Rocktown will have to gnaw off the bones. Even Shiraishi does not intend to avoid the Navy's encirclement and suppression, but will completely crush it in a head-on attitude. Encirclement and suppression by the Navy headquarters. Only in this way can we build a huge reputation and compete with other pirate groups on the Grand Line. Point to reach the final place, one must become the world's greatest pirate, and this standard does not refer to the ordinary Shichibuke. Shiraishi is directly aiming for the goal of Yonko level pirates. Since he wants to be the Yonko, he must maintain absolute strength in every subsequent battle with the Navy. Point this strength will bring enough reputation to recruit subordinates. At the same time, several naval warships were patrolling in the waters outside Rocktown. According to the Navy's calculations, the Suna Ninja Pirates arrived in Rocktown just recently, and the entire East China Sea Navy was ready. According to my estimation, Aoki Shiraishi of the Sand Ninja Pirates should be delayed for some time in arriving at Rocktown. Compared to the sharp-edged Doberman, Lieutenant General Jimmel exuded a very gentle Buddhist aura, but the double swords on his waist all showed that he was also a first-class swordsman. To avoid the Navy, since the Sand Ninja Pirates want to go to the Grand Line, they must retain a certain amount of strength and do not want to suffer too much loss, so they are unlikely to choose to directly conflict with us in Rocktown unless what? They have absolute self-confidence or are ambitious enough, and then the next battle will become very cruel. The pirates who choose to avoid conflict with the Navy are not scary. What is scary is that the Sand Ninja Pirates, as they did before, unscrupulously stormed into Rocktown head-on. Point Jimmel withdrew his smile and held the two swords for a moment, his aura bursting out. In fact, they are indeed very arrogant. Not only Lieutenant General Jimmel, but also several other lieutenant generals and their warships also noticed the flag of the Sand Ninja Pirates in the distance, fluttering in the wind on the sea. Lord Lieutenant General, get ready to fight. Doberman and Garp were located on the other side of the sea in Roguetown. The 3 lieutenant generals originally judged that the Sand Ninja Pirates would not arrive so soon, but this time Aoki Shiraishi was indeed a bit unexpected. Sure enough, the Navy's arrogant judgment caused them to disperse their forces. Now they should concentrate their advantages and break through the Navy here first. Beishi held the silver knife in his hand and jumped into the air. His silver wings appeared behind his back. At the same time, silver ice crystals and snow were scattered around him, turning into a white light that filled the sky and fell directly over the entire Rocktown. Point snowstorm. The freezing bird's blizzard can turn the surrounding area into a snowy state almost instantly. Amidst the falling snowflakes, the entire climate of Rocktown suddenly changes drastically. Point the drastic change in the weather symbolizes the improvement of Shiraishi's fruit ability. He has never used the frozen bird's fruit ability like this before. Then, let's begin. As soon as he finished speaking, Shiraishi's high-speed silhouette fell on the sea. The moment his toes touched the sea, a huge ice lotus appeared and quickly rotated and bloomed. Under the shining ice and snow lotus, the sea seemed to cool down instantly. Point the silver white ice lotus blooms on the sea, giving it a very dazzling and gorgeous feeling. The cold air released around the flowers continuously freezes the sea around Rogtown Point. Even the shore of the port and pier is frozen by ice and snow. The silver long knife was held in Beishi's hand, and countless cold rays gathered on the knife, and a silver knife gleam was struck directly at Jimmy's ship. What? A great newcomer. This kind of power is indeed worthy of gathering 3 lieutenant generals to fight against him. As Jimmel spoke, the two swords merged together, and the domineering wind instantly blocked Shiraishi's cold slash. But at this time, Shiraishi's cold air had completely frozen the large sea area around Rogtown. The ice only restricts the movement of warships. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Don't you understand? Jimmel, who was stepping on the ice, danced with his two swords, and released a brilliant sword light, but it was blocked by an ice mirror created by Shiraishi. I was purely worried that my ship would be damaged, so I froze the entire sea. I hope you can continue to be arrogant like this. The two swords flashed, and Shiraishi moved back very lightly. The ice wings on his back turned into 2 pairs of wings at this moment. A moment later, a giant ice knife condensed in his hand. I can also use dual sword style. During his time at the Aishin Dojo, Shiraishi also learned the dual sword style. After simply simulating the second sword with an ice blade, he combined it with the silver sword to show his sharp edge point. For a moment, Jimmel felt tremendous pressure. The young man wearing a pirate hat in front of him was holding 2 swords. After observing, Jimmel could not find any flaws. PS. 2 chapters in 1. 4,000 words of content will not be updated at noon. Chapter 467. Breaking 2 people in a row. The blooming brilliance of the ice lotus gave people a thrilling and terrifying feeling. Jimmel attacked quickly with 2 swords, but he saw Beishi holding 2 swords as well. The domineering power of the sight and color combined with the power of endless frost. With a bang, the two of them used their own weapons. At the moment of hedging, Jimmel could feel an icy coldness spreading throughout his body. As a veteran lieutenant general, Jimmel's face became ugly. In the instantaneous attack, countless cold currents penetrated his skin, causing a certain delay in the body's nerves. What kind of phantom beast is this? Why is there such a terrifying extreme cold ability? Lotus Dance instant kill. During the clash of weapons between the two sides, Jimmel could clearly feel that the ice crystals released by the young man in front of him quickly expanded into cold currents, raging through the blood vessels and meridians. His own domineering energy has long been entangled, but he is still affected, which shows that the other part is. Fruit development level is very clear. Is this person really just a fledgling pirate? Jimmel felt the strength of Beishi, and the 2 swords fell quickly. The moment he saw Beishi soaring in the sky again, countless ice and snow shot out, forming a dense storm. Suddenly, a sharp edge flashed from behind, and Shiraishi's wings quickly swung behind him to block Doberman's sneak attack. Sneak attacks are not a polite thing to do. For pirates, there is no need to be polite, only kill them. It makes sense at this time. Shiraishi appeared behind Doberman in a flash, and at the same time, countless ice wings turned into ice feathers and flew out. Doberman quickly used his sword in time to avoid the process, and the ice and snow blue bad that Shiraishi transformed gave people a very special feeling. Feeling domineering. The raging frost swept across the entire ground, and combined with the blizzard in the sky, formed a terrifying winter offensive. While Doberman was going all out to fight against the severe cold, Shiraishi made his real hidden killer move. Shiraishi flicked his fingers. Zoo-wide exchanged with frozen bird. At some point, a large amount of toxins condensed on Shiraishi's fingers. Shiraishi crouched down and used the original hand gesture to attack at a very fast speed. With a bang, Doberman's side was pierced by Shiraishi's finger. In an instant, huge toxins were integrated into his body. Countless poisons controlled the nerve cells in his body, causing Doberman's expression to change drastically. The neurotoxin controlled the Vice Admiral's body. Shiraishi deliberately concealed his identity as the second fruit ability, so he accidentally exposed Doberman to the neurotoxin. Doberman, what are you doing? The red-eyed Doberman drew out his long knife and slashed at the surrounding navy. For a moment, the navy was in chaos. The long sword struck rampantly, cutting down many marines. What have you done? Compared to Kimmel's caution, Doberman was much more reckless and was directly controlled by Shiraishi's neurotoxin. However, as a Vice Admiral of the Navy, Doberman's own domineering power still has a certain resistance to this kind of fruit ability, and he soon regained consciousness. Doberman was completely dumbfounded as he looked at the fallen marine corpses everywhere on the ground. Shiraishi showed a sarcastic smile. "You're stupid. You actually killed your own subordinates. Pirate, shut up." Seeing this colleague lunging at Shiraishi again, Kimmel knew clearly that he was completely irritated. "Doberman, you must calm down." When Doberman's dancing longsword struck, Shiraishi quickly stepped forward, and the silver knife in his hand struck him in just an instant. But it seemed like a long century had passed for Doberman. The remaining zooide poison erupted again, forming a terrifying purple energy that completely eroded his body. His body became numb again, allowing Beishi to release ice and snow energy to hit him. He felt the rolling cold current pouring into his body. With the other part his power, his arms froze in an instant and spread to all parts of his body, making him feel as if he had stayed up all night naked in the ice and snow at dozens of degrees below zero. He trembled involuntarily, his lips suddenly turned blue, and there was only one thought echoing in his mind: so cold. Doberman's teeth collided involuntarily, and he felt the temperature of his body passing rapidly, and his heart beat suddenly violently. Resisting the cold invasion. At some point, a special silver light condensed on Shiraishi's fingers. This is the strongest move of the freezing bird, and it is also a truly terrifying death move. Absolute Zero. With a loud shout, Doberman's whole body fell into a huge ice. In an instant, Garp, who was rushing over, looked at this scene in disbelief. Doberman tried to struggle under the ice, but the ice under the power of absolute zero gradually caused his body to gradually begin to exhibit a strange state of stillness. Doberman's heart stopped. "Boy, you are so disgusting." Doberman was eliminated with one blow. Shiraishi did not end his attack. He froze the surrounding water vapor, making the scattered snowflakes more crystal clear. The world stopped for an instant, allowing his arm muscles to expand, and he punched upwards like a heavy object. Fighting Garp's fist. Hard and freeze fist, the cold current forms a terrifying burst of air in midair. At this time, Garp was like a ferocious beast, using a furious clenched fist to slash down. Surrounded by invisible domineering energy, it showed that his domineering power had reached its peak state. There was no need to harden the domineering power, and he just punched out. There was a brief haze where the two fists collided, as if hoarfrost had turned into mist. Their bodies trembled obviously, and their facial muscles twitched uncontrollably. In terms of domineering power alone, Garp crushed Shiraishi, but the terrifying chill on the latter's body also made Garp exhale a breath of cold air. Countless Marines looked at this scene with disbelief, because Lieutenant General Garp, who was invincible in their hearts, had just punched him in anger, and was forcibly received. Garp was forced to retreat by this punch. Reading www.ukanshu.net. Shiraishi also retreated, but in the process, Zooide turned into a golden poisonous dragon as countless golden rays of light entangled him. The golden liquid formed a poisonous dragon, and pounced crazily on Jimmel. The latter danced his two swords in a process, forming a special defense mode. However, under the poisonous dragon, the real killing move suddenly appeared. The poisonous dragon exploded directly, turning into countless venom and spilling down. As Jimmel rotated his swords to block it, he discovered that the venom could also invade through the air. The strong poison invaded the body for a moment, and Jimmel's face twitched, and he passed out. The surrounding subordinates quickly stepped forward to carry the unconscious Lieutenant General Jimmel away. In just a few minutes, he easily defeated two vice admirals, and even directly punched Garp. What is the origin of this Aoki Beishi? So terrifying. Haha, I underestimated you, kid. Are you ready to fight for real? The fists all over Garp's body are burning with thick smoke, indicating that Iron Fist Garp will erupt into an unprecedented terrifying posture, with a steady stream of domineering energy emerging from all directions. Chapter 468, The Power of the Iron Fist. The Navy is now in a state of chaos. Although Garp is in charge, the morale of the military is not shattered at the moment. However, the opponent's powerful ice control ability has caused the entire Navy to suffer a lot, and the morale of the military has been somewhat shattered for a while. The other members of the Sand Ninja Pirates are now appearing from behind, increasing the pressure on Garp's rear. Uchiha Madara's strength is no less than that of Aoki Shiraishi in front of him. now that he still retains a lot of strength, although Garp knows very well that he cannot retain it. He has no choice, and the most powerful punch is delivered point. But in an instant, as Shiraishi flickered with countless after images, Garp aimed at the shadow in front of him on the left, and punched out pointers. Behind him and under his feet, there was another aura of armed domineering energy, which pushed him to burst out with a powerful impact. He appeared directly behind Shiraishi's shadow and hit the opponent's back of the head without slowing down. Is this the domineering method of a top powerhouse? Shiraishi's pupils suddenly contracted, and the paralyzing neurotoxin of the golden Zuwide turned into a needle tip at this moment. As a result, Garp didn't waste any time. He seemed to have discovered this hidden neurotoxin method at a glance. His armed domineering power strengthened and hardened instantly, and he shattered the toxin attack with one punch. What a troublesome Iron Fist today. The Navy headquarters only has 2 generals, Buddha's Warring States and Black Arms Ifa. Although Iron Fist Garp is a lieutenant general, he has the default admiral level combat power in the Navy headquarters. Therefore, the Battle of Rogtown was actually taken very seriously by the Navy, so there was a general level combat force combined with 2 lieutenant generals with outstanding sword skills, but it still felt like it could not contain the Shiraishi pirates as his thoughts drifted. Shiraishi's eyes showed a ruthless look, and he fell forward, avoiding the Iron Fist hitting the back of his head, and raised his left arm backwards, as if he was subconsciously maintaining balance. Boom. With his own domineering energy, Garp suddenly lowered his shoulders, and forced his fist to change direction. Armed with invisible domineering power, he directly hardened the hammer at this moment. Shiraishi's raised left arm shot out a golden poisonous dragon, and his flesh and blood shattered and splashed, covering half of Garp's body. The terrifying corrosive toxins turned Garp's white navy suit black and rotten. The skin on Garp's arms, shoulders, chest, and face was also rapidly festering. The toxin energy controlled by Zuwide squirmed and tried to penetrate. The severe pain made Garp snort, but the explosive hammering speed did not slow down, but his body involuntarily paused. Taking this opportunity, Shiraishi accelerated again. Garp's will did not break down. He held back the pain and threw a stronger punch. When Shiraishi caught it with one hand, Zuwide was also severely injured as he continued to retreat. One punch. I saw Garp's whole body soar, and the domineering energy around him turned into streams of flames, wandering on the surface of his body like running water, igniting the wounds on his body, and the invisible power of domineering energy continued to expel the toxin invasion at this moment. Bit by bit, the toxins created by Shiraishi were completely driven away. Is this the strength of Iron Fist? Shiraishi's arms were a little numb, but he was not someone who would give up easily. Shiraishi, who clenched his hands tightly, floated over quickly under the soft silver light. While Garp's arm was once again condensing invisible domineering power, Shiraishi suddenly turned his fist into a palm, pressed hard, bent his back, turned over, jumped up, jumped directly above the enemy, and fired his left fist from head to toe, hitting Garp directly forehead. As the latter responded calmly, the strong airflow released from his body suddenly struck Shiraishi head on again. The fists interlocked, and the air vibrated, holding back the discomfort. Shiraishi opened his left hand again, pressed lightly on Talon's fist, injecting blizzard, then used the force to turn over, jumped to the back of the opponent, and in midair, his right leg tightened, like a spring-loaded steel whip. It was drawn back with a snap. Garp always used his domineering fists to push Shiraishi back again and again, leaving no room for breathing. Now Shiraishi is using fists, hand knives, countless ice blades, or silver knives to quickly unsheath his swords and attack in various combinations, showing dazzling attack methods. As for Garp, he remains unchanged in response to all changes. After a moment of fierce fighting, Shiraishi was gasping for air, while Garp was still breathing very steadily, which showed the current strength gap between the two. But such a battle still shocked the whole audience. Playing against Garp is indeed very difficult now. The Vice Admiral is a general who is so powerful and superior to him. Uchiha. Madara was a little surprised by Garp's strength, but Ace shook his head. There is only one such special lieutenant general in the Navy headquarters. Garp, can't you even handle a kid? The cold voice echoed throughout Rogtown. Balorik, wearing a blood-red coat and holding a rapier, slowly stepped out of the ice-covered sea. Haha, this kid is no ordinary kid. The great pirate Balorik. The appearance of the lonely red made the situation more subtle, but the big pirate's eyes were on Uchiha Madara in the distance. You were the one who killed Chekhov. Yes. As soon as Uchiha Madara finished speaking, Balorik turned into a red and scarlet light and appeared behind Uchiha Madara. Then, your life ends here. Balorik's target is Madara Uchiha, the pirate who killed his nephew in public and the vice captain of the Sand Ninja Pirates originally. Shiraishi was also his target, but the arrogant Balorik would never join forces with Garp to attack Shiraishi, so he set his sights on another main target, Uchiha Madara. There are only a handful of people in this world who can block his deadly sword point at the moment when the swords were intertwined. Uchiha Madara saw the fan in his hand blocking Balorik's rapier. The domineering aura melted into Uchiha Madara's eyes. The pupils produced a special red light and locked onto Balorik. It's a pity I'm still alive. Nice insight. During Balorik's teleportation, he saw Uchiha Madara turn around and swipe his hand with a fan, and the will-o'-the-wisp condensed into shape at some point. Suddenly, explosive will-o'-the-wisps raged around Balorik. The latter turned around with his rapier, only to see Uchiha Madara quickly approach and take out another weapon. The sickle. Uchiha Madara's Uchiha fan and sickle are the most commonly used weapons. At the same time as the sickle was attacking, Uchiha Madara condensed countless will-o'-wisps into a huge dark fireball. The darkness and the fire are extinguished. The extremely exaggerated giant dark fireball came raging. The sea surface that was previously frozen by the white stone was quickly burned and volatilized in front of this black fireball, burning with rolling flames. The domineering energy condensed on the rapier, and Balorik turned into a red sword gleam in the entire sky and faced Uchiha Madara's huge black fireball head on. The sparks suddenly shattered and impacted on the entire ice surface. At this time, Uchiha Madara found 7 different after images appearing above, and at the same time, he released a powerful sword light aura. At this moment, 9 tails appeared behind Uchiha Madara, rolling up a huge stream of flames, and the two sides fought against each other forcefully. After the explosion, Balorik flashed to the side again. reading www.ukanshu.net. Some of the corners of his clothing were burned, but Uchiha Madara was more seriously injured, leaving a scar on his chest, which was injured by the rapier. Very good strength. What a pity. The alone read, as the super pirate on the Grand Line, his strength cannot be underestimated, but the confrontation just now by Uchiha Madara left everyone present in Rogtown dumbfounded. Just when Balorik was about to continue, he suddenly stopped, because he noticed Unohana who was motionless beside him, and his heart sank. This woman is also a great swordsman. Suddenly shocked, Balorik seemed to underestimate the overall strength of the Sand Ninja Pirates. Neither Uchiha Madara nor this mysterious sword-wielding woman can directly and immediately take down existence. We are not dreaming, are we? Balorik and Garp have not completely suppressed the Sand Ninja Pirates, although Garp and Balorik did not join forces. The captain and deputy captain of the Sand Ninja Pirates were able to block the joint attack of the two bosses at the same time, showing the powerful background of this pirate group. Chapter 469, Bounty that shocked the world. The blizzard continued to fall. Although Garp gradually gained the upper hand, there were still many uncertain factors. In order to completely capture White Rock Point at this time, a huge flame fell from the sky and hit the center of the ice. Ace finally couldn't help but take action. Although he was still wearing a ridiculous mask, the explosive power of this punch was terrifying. Violent energy raged across the entire sea, and as the huge ice cubes continued to melt, Uchiha took out the soul-cutting knife in his hand, and a gorgeous slash suddenly fell, cutting a warship in front in two. He is indeed a swordsman-level swordsman. When Balorik's attention turned to Unohana, he saw Madara Uchiha leaping up and appearing above him. You're distracted. The dark fire turned into a giant black fire dragon and smashed down directly. Madara Uchiha's attack was very fierce, forcing Balorik back in an instant. A bloody sword mark flashed out and struck. Uchiha Madara once again grabbed Balorik's rapier, and as his eyes were surrounded by haki, a black flame blade formed on Uchiha Madara's palm and cut it off. Boom. Balorik took a few steps back and turned the rapier in his hand. The domineering force generated by the wind quickly offset the pressure of the flames. The overall strength of this pirate group, only the captain and the vice captain were able to contain Garp and Balorik, as well as a woman who was a great swordsman, a mysterious archer, and a natural fruit ability user. The Sand Ninja Pirates seem to have the qualifications to become a giant pirate group. The surrounding ice continued to melt, and Garp and Shiraishi were still fiercely attacking each other. During the exchanges between the two sides, although Shiraishi was punched several times, the same cold current also caused slowness and damage to Garp's body. It has to be said that Garp's haki cultivation is very strong, so powerful that it is very difficult for Shiraishi to deal with it. But the naval hero in front of him has too many things to worry about, such as his own subordinates. The fleets of Doberman and Kimmel had already been defeated. Facing Unohana-Ritsu and Kikyo, the entire navy was in a state of being unable to match them, especially the Mako archer. Although her arrows do not cause any fatal damage, once they are hit, they will be temporarily paralyzed. These arrow clusters are clearly Shiraishi masterpieces. At the same time, Platikadon casts a weak sealing technique, causing a certain amount of restraint. At this time, the huge sea ice finally couldn't bear it and began to collapse completely. Garp chose to save his men and gave up the fight with Shiraishi. Seeing Garp's choice, Shiraishi had no desire to continue fighting and quickly returned to the pirate ship, advancing directly through the waters of Rogtown at a high speed, and rushed directly to Upside Down Mountain. As the ice and snow melted, the giant battleships of the Sand Ninja Pirates broke through the coastline blockade of Rogue Town, and the battle on behalf of Rogue Town finally came to an end. The navy didn't take down the Sand Ninja Pirates. Moyed and the entire ship cheered. Although they did not defeat the navy, they were able to break out of Garp and reach the Upside Down Mountain. This was a great victory in itself, but will it cause more naval siege? On the Grand Line, there are threats like the Golden Lion, Whitebeard, and Roger. The navy doesn't have enough energy. Within the next year, Roger soon realized his dream of domination on the Great Line and became the legendary Pirate King. By then, the entire sea was boiling and the world government was in a state of high panic. It seemed that Roger's arrival at Rafdru had discovered the real secret hidden under the blank history of this world. The Navy headquarters will inevitably come under tremendous pressure. The world government and the celestial dragon nobles must force the navy to deal with the Roger pirates with all their strength and put other pirate forces aside. At this time, Roger's movements in the new world have attracted close attention from the navy headquarters. This time Roger Town deals with the Sand Ninja Pirates, which is currently the biggest price the navy can bear. Up ahead is Upside Down Mountain. Moyed looked very nervously at the huge mountain in front of him and firmly controlled the rudder. Upside Down Mountain, also known as Mount Levant, is an incredible and dangerous mountain that serves as the entrance to the Grand Line. There are a total of 5 waterways on Upside Down Mountain, which are X-shaped, with water flowing in and out in 4 directions. 4 of the waterways lead to the top of the mountain. These 4 rivers connect 4 different sea areas respectively: the East China Sea, the West China Sea, the South China Sea, and the North Sea. The last waterway flows into the Grand Line. Upside Down Mountain is the starting point of the Grand Line, and it can also be regarded as the end point of the Grand Line. Because the other side of Upside Down Mountain is the end of the New World. The ocean currents in the southeast, northwest and 4 seas are so strong that they can overcome gravity and flow upward. Shiraishi and others felt the rising sea level with a hint of expectation in their eyes. Grand Line Navy Headquarters. The outcome of the Battle of Rogtown shocked the entire Navy Department. To deal with such a pirate group, at least 2 generals will be dispatched, but the Navy does not have enough troops to deal with this group of pirates. Sora had a headache. He couldn't understand where the Sand Ninja Pirates came from, and he didn't know what the purpose of Shiraishi and others was. Allowing them to enter the Grand Line may create more variables and storms in the originally chaotic sea area. With the strength of the 5 main members of the Sand Ninja Pirates and their subsequent entry into the Grand Line, the Navy headquarters convened an emergency countermeasure. At the same time, The bounty order regarding the Sand Ninja Pirates once again refreshed the world's awareness. Captain Aoki Shiraishi, a phantom beast with the iceberg fruit ability, has a bounty of 220 million belly. Vice Captain Uchiha Madara, a phantom beast with Dark Nine Tails ability, has a bounty of 200 million belly. Sword Demon Mayoshiha has 8,000 streams and a bounty of 150 million belly. Masked Warrior, a natural user with the Burning Fruit ability, with a bounty of 130 million belly. An archer and witch. UU Reading www.ukashu.net is good at using all kinds of weird poisons, with a bounty of 60 million baileys. Platycodon's poison was all prepared by Shiraishi, but because of her Mako attire, the Navy naturally misunderstood that she was the poison maker on the ship. Shiraishi's performance in the battle at Rogue Town was deemed a threat by the world government, so the update of the second bounty order suddenly made the entire pirate group a force that cannot be underestimated. On the Grand Line point opening the newspaper, Shiraishi squinted. The bounty has been doubled this time. Snort Uchiha Madara expressed his dissatisfaction that his bounty was once again exceeded by Shiraishi, but he is the captain, and he is the deputy captain. The Navy will not give him a bounty opportunity for a period of time. In this era, there are more than 200 million pirates, which is already a major pirate force on the sea. This is completely different from the inflation in the next 10 years. Belly will become less and less valuable, and some big pirates have a bounty of more than 1 billion. The journey of the Great Line has begun. Shiraishi looked at the distant sea, thoughtfully. Chapter 470, Target Empty Island. The flow rate of time in the One Piece world is different from that in the Naruto world. This has been mentioned in the previous article, and Pigfoot also knows this. 3 months later, Gear Island and Sky Island are the same island, shaped like a skull. Due to the upwelling currents near the sea, half of Gear Island was washed up into the sky 400 years ago, along with the indigenous people, animals, and historical monuments. The parts that shot up into the sky were the skull's head and face, while the parts that stayed on the ground were the skeleton's teeth. After the Sand Ninja Pirates docked on Gear Island, Shiraishi organized the crew to carry out large-scale purchases and upgrade and improve the hull. It's your goal of improving this ship on Empty Island. Ace also knows a little bit about the legend of Sky Island, so when Luffy adventured on Sky Island, Ace had been imprisoned by the Navy in Impel Down City, so he didn't know the story of Luffy in Sky Island. But as a member of the Whitebeard Pirates, Ace also heard about the legend of Sky Island during his early adventures on the Great Line, so he specifically asked Shiraishi if his target was Sky Island this time on Gear Island. In addition to major modifications to the ship's hull, I also want to go to Sky Island to seize a special devil fruit. The Thunder Fruit is currently still in the Sky Island city of Bika. Shiraishi has been locking this strongest natural devil fruit for a long time. In the future, this fruit may bring unexpected gains to his future plans. Shiraishi showed a smile and walked forward slowly. Ace, now that the power of the burning fruit has been restored to you, will you still get the burning fruit in this world? Shiraishi's question made Ace stunned for a moment. He seemed to have never thought about this question at all. It should be that Ace in the future does not have the burning fruit, so this trip to Sky Island is the gift I'm preparing to leave to the other you to make up for it. In addition to these, there is also the gold. So Shiraishi's modification of the sturdy ship this time was naturally to prepare to load enough gold. 400 years ago, Rolando and his crew came to Gear Island to escape a storm. They happened to save the Shandia clan from tree fever and ended the traditional ritual of human sacrifice. They also met with the great warrior Calgra. We became good friends at first sight. Although Rolando saved Shandia, he was misunderstood by the tribe as a sinner who violated traditions and beliefs because he cut down all Shandia's sacred trees in the process. After Calgary issued an expulsion order to drive them away, he learned from Moose the reason why they cut down the tree. He was unable to see off Rolando in time, which became something he regretted extremely. Later, when he landed in Green Pit, he took the initiative to fight against the injustice of the Dontota tribe, which was being oppressed by humans at that time, and restored the peaceful life of the Dontota tribe. In memory of Rolando's kindness, the Dontota tribe also settled in the tribe. The community cast a memorial statue of Rolando. In 1127 AD, Rolando was ordered by the king to return to Gear Island to search for gold. At this time, Gear Island had been washed up in the White Sea. He could not find the land of gold and committed the crime of deceiving the emperor. Rolando was executed and was also dubbed the King of Big Talk Point before his death. Rolando speculated that the golden land sank to the bottom of the sea due to plate movement, but no one wanted to listen to him anymore. Later generations are still active today, constantly searching for the existence of the golden land on the seabed near Gear Island. However, Shiraishi had no intention of contacting these people. He sent his crew to Gear Island to collect books about the updrafts in this sea area and study the climate environment here. Shiraishi is not in a hurry to go to Sky Island immediately. Now the entire pirate group has been on the road for 3 months. After arriving at Gear Island, they will have a good rest and learn about the current situation of the Grand Line. Roger continued to move towards the final land. During this period, Whitebird and the Golden Lion briefly fought in the New World. Since the Golden Lion's head was now inserted into a rudder, his combat power declined severely, and he could no longer pose any threat to Whitebird. Although the attack was the Gold Lion was withdrawn, but Whitebird had no intention of continuing to pursue. Balearic is alone. The Golden Lion's strength has declined. Roger has no ambitions, and Whitebird's expansion is limited. Before the era of great pirates comes, the Navy still has certain advantages. In fact, after Roger was arrested, the Golden Lion and Balearic stumbled in and impelled down city one after another, which shows that the Navy used him to be caught and made a plan to make these two great pirates withdraw from the stage of history. Even the one who is known as the strongest man, Whitebird, also died in the future war on top. Perhaps for Sora and Sengoku, ending these big pirates in the previous era was the mission that their older navy had to fulfill. After Whitebird's death, Sengoku resigned from the post of Marshal of the Navy. These factors also contributed to some of these factors. According to my speculation, the people on the empty island are actually the people on the moon. When it comes to people on the moon, Shiraishi thinks of the Otsutsuki clan in the world of Naruto, and there are also mysterious people on the moon in this world. The air on the Sky Island is very thin at such a height, and the exercise ability of King Hei people here will be greatly reduced. Some residents on the island have 2 feathers on their backs. In fact, the Sandians and the residents of Angel Island are lunar people who flew to the Blue Star to settle down due to lack of energy. These angels live a very good life using the shells and clouds of the White Sea. Their supreme leader became a god, mostly elected, until the coming of the future Anaru. Mentioning the Moon Man, Uchiha Madara shook his head and seemed to be a little interested in the history of the Otsutsuki clan. After a quick explanation, Uchiha Madara suddenly understood. It turns out that the eye power is the power of the reincarnated eye. Uchiha Madara was still frightened by the huge power of Shiraishi when he first saw him, and his taboo against the Tenge clan was even deeper, especially after learning the truth about Kaguya and the Tenge Ren. Uchiha Madara's only idea was to return to his original world and deal with the Black Zetsugai immediately. Although he had done similar things to Obito, the thought that he was being used like Obito made Uchiha Madara very unhappy. The gold of Sky Island and the Thunder Fruit are targets that Shiraishi cannot miss. As for the Navy, reading www.okanshu.net, I was relieved to learn that the Sand Ninja Pirates had docked at Gear Island for innovation. Sora looked at the intelligence coming from the Secret Service. Judging from the various intelligence collected, the Sand Ninja Pirates planned to find the legend of the Golden Land on Gear Island. This actually made the Navy feel happy. It is said that the White Sand Ninja Pirates are a rookie pirate group after all. No matter how strong they are, they will only believe in unreliable legends like the Golden Land. Since they are determined to find the Golden Land, the Navy has also turned its attention to other pirate groups. Garp, the New World side will still trouble you to continue to keep an eye on Roger and the others. Garp was eating senbei and said angrily with a displeased look on his face, HMPH, I want to trouble that Shiraishi brat even more now. No. Willfulness. Yes, after all, Sora is half a teacher of Garp. He doesn't dare to make too many mistakes in front of this big boss. If it's his friend Sengoku, I won't let you down. Chapter 471, Shukaku. Naruto World. The giant heretic demons are still growing crazily, and the huge tree roots are taking root in this land, eating away all the life force of this planet. In the originally frozen world of Naruto, time seemed to start to move a little bit. The power of gems that Shiraishi acquired in other worlds is stabilizing this world, and the stagnant time has also begun to move forward. Although time has begun to flow, it is still a very slow roller compared to the pirate world. After the frozen world was no longer frozen, the outsider demon was the only living thing to wake up. It sensed something and grew like crazy. Its entire height almost broke through the entire atmosphere. The Pure Land world was completely blocked by the Six Paths Sage, and everyone reincarnated in the Dirty Land was also released. As for the other people and things in the Naruto world, they have not woken up and are still in a frozen state. However, on the outer demon statue, the power of the earth is constantly gathering, and the last mark left by Beishi is exactly the result of the activation of the 5 symbols of the heavenly curse. Senjalage's body, which had been abandoned by Indra, was used again, and Deidara's consciousness suddenly poured into it. When Shiraishi used the 5 symbols of the sky curse, Deidara's body was not perfect. Although he practiced dust escape to make up for his own shortcomings, he was ultimately defeated by Hagoromo Shinto, Ghostlight Hyuki, Archer Hakid and others. Until this moment, the perfect body of Kai and Jalauzi appeared. The awakened Deidara, or the brand new Senjalao, quickly turned into a ray of light and appeared in front of Archer Hakid and others. In order to stabilize the world of Naruto, Shiraishi's 4 split bodies transformed into the 4 element of earth, water, fire, and thunder, and combined with the power of ice and poison in the pirate world to repair the gaps in the Pure Land of Paradise. The growth direction of the heretic golem is very strange. We'll wait and see for a while. 1. Peace world. Compared to a moment in the Naruto world, Shiraishi and his team, who have spent almost several months in the pirate world, are currently undergoing renovations on Gear Island. The hull was reinforced, the forts continued to be upgraded, and a large amount of equipment was deployed. At the same time, Shiraishi contacted some special dignitaries in the underground world through Gear Island. Before Doflamingo was born, there were also many giants in the underground world of One Piece, but currently Shiraishi has contacted the Vinsmoke family. Vinsmoke Gaji is a legendary figure, the leader of the Germa Kingdom. He used to belong to an illegal research team. He worked with Vegapunk on the research and development of weapons, and then led the team to discover the bloodline factor world. Zangief believed that the discovery was too dangerous, so he arrested Vegapunk and bribed the team. While Gaji successfully escaped from Zangief later, he conducted research alone and returned to the kingdom of Germa. Through the use of blood factor theory research, he led the scientific research team to carry out life replication and transformation projects. He used the blood factors of several outstanding soldiers in Germa to create and replicate a batch of products that could be cultivated in 5 years. Soldiers, such as Model Megabyte, MH, MST and other soldiers. All the soldiers have been transformed and cloned, and they have the characteristics of fearlessness and absolute obedience, thus forming a new type of Germa 66 army that is frightened by countries around the world. In addition, the Germa Kingdom also operates a lot of arms business. Shiraishi's main interest is in various modified arms and warship upgrades. As for the blood factor, compared with Orochimaru's almost immortal cell cloning technology, Germa's technology is a bit unsatisfactory. Of course, it is also unique. After all, Orochimaru's main attack direction is different from Gaji. Haha, Germa's team will arrive at Gear Island in 3 days. Over. At the phone bug, Gaji was in a good mood, and the Sand Ninja Pirates were also considered excellent cooperative customers. This time on the battleship transformation, Shiraishi shared and exchanged the data and technology he had mastered in exchange for the Germa team to upgrade his pirate ship. It's a very good deal in itself. At least some of the information provided by Shiraishi was indeed very helpful in strengthening his blood factor soldiers. A pleasure to work with. Turning off the phone, Shiraishi put down the information in his hand. The renovation project on Gear Island was about to end, and the next step was to go to Sky Island to find his goal this time. Thunder Fruit of Baka region. After the Germa team arrived at Gear Island, they began to comprehensively upgrade Shukaku, The number of turrets was increased to more than 60, and a special emergency avoidance system was also installed. A queue that looked like Shukaku's childhood was hung on the bow. Version shape. Pinching Shukaku's ears can make the boat go backwards quickly. The bottom area is equipped with subship systems that assist the mothership in cruising. The circular dock is divided into 12 areas. Select the channel according to the numbers on the steering wheel and the lever next to it. Referring to the design of the Straw Hat Pirates Miles Sunshine, passengers can first go to the crew standby room in the center of the ship. This technology is also a very common modification method in the Germa team. Gaji even generously presented Shiraishi with 12 subships and equipment with different functions. In addition to troop projection, it also has deep sea exploration, high-speed cruising and other functions. Many vacant rooms have been sorted out again, and the 5th floor upstairs is Shiraishi's specialized research and testing workshop and weapons development warehouse. A database has been added to the 4th floor, which contains a large amount of navigation information, historical texts, and many documentary records collected by Shiraishi from various parties. It is obvious that Shiraishi is also learning how to read ancient historical texts. The 3rd floor is a giant survey area, which mainly assists navigators in controlling the trajectory of ships. It is also an energy reserve area. The energy of the ice melted by Shiraishi's freezing light is transmitted here to the huge beam cannon in the mouth of the Shukaku point. Although Shiraishi does not have as powerful a transformation ability as Frankie, he also has a special freezing system installed in the Shukaku mouth of the Shukaku point, utilizing the energy of his own freezing ray and storing this extreme cold energy in a special way. Shiraishi combines it with the cannon method to release a freezing beam that is more powerful than conventional freezing rays. In addition to the freezing beam, reading www.ukanshu.net, Shiraishi also created special incendiary explosive bombs, smoke gas bombs and other backup weapons. The 2nd floor is the rest area, which is divided into multiple rooms. The women's area of Uwazahuaretsu and Kikayo has the best treatment. There is a dressing table on the wall ZHNGing next to the entrance, where red wine and tea sets are placed. There are dressing tables, beds, sofas, and closets inside. The men's rest area is much simpler. In addition, the kitchen, exercise area, and granary are also built in this area. Except for the lowest layer of the ship, each layer is equipped with 12 giant cannons, forming 60 super firepower. After the final modification of the Shukaku was completed, even several technicians from the Germa team were reluctant to look at this almost perfect medium-sized warship. Shiraishi naturally gained a lot. At least part of Germa's skills had been secretly absorbed. Obviously, the Germa team did not expect that the pirates, who they considered rude, would understand these techniques and steal them. In short, Shukaku finally completed its transformation and successfully set sail. Chapter 472, Bicker Island. Sky Island. In the shock wave of an explosion, huge waves were seen sweeping into the sky. The Sand Ninja Pirates and the Shukaku followed this current and continued to rush high into the sky, turning into a column of water under the huge dark clouds. This is too unreasonable. Shiraishi disagreed with the crew members' complaints. There are too many things that are not consistent with common sense, so you don't need to worry about it. Start. The double wing airflow, special airflow spiral devices are released on the sides of the Shukaku. As the storm continues to rise, the Shukaku slowly rises and moves with the wind, constantly spiraling upward. It turns out it's all true. I didn't expect that the way to get to the empty island is to use the whirlpool of the ocean current to rise into the sky. That story about the Golden Land, my god, I'm going to make a fortune. Not only ace, but also excellent navigators like Mode expressed disbelief at the scene before Sky Island. If Shiraishi hadn't insisted on taking this terrible method before, otherwise they would never have thought of landing in this way. Go to the front of the White Sea first. The end point of the majestic water column is like a sea surrounded by a sea of clouds. The Shukaku is docked on the sea of clouds. As Shiraishi and others rely on the surge of the sea of clouds, Shiraishi continues to feel the climate within the Sky Island. The faces of Moyed and others became a little ugly because various problems with the air pressure at high altitude made them physically unable to adapt. Shiraishi handed the specially prepared medicine to everyone to drink. The Neptune species in this sea area are much larger than the ordinary Neptune species. This is mainly to adapt to the sea of clouds at high altitudes, so the body size becomes larger, but the weight is lighter. It's like turning yourself into a balloon. Ace listened with great interest. At this time, the cry of a huge monster was heard outside, and he was the first to take action. A powerful flame pierced through, creating a huge hole in the sea of clouds. A moment later, a corpse of a seeking type with its body punctured was suspended in the sea of clouds, becoming food for everyone. The taste is okay after a brief cooking. I have to say that the taste of Yunhei Neptune is much better than that of Kinghei Neptune below. Now that you've come to Sky Island, what's your next plan? Uchiha Madara was constantly adapting to the surrounding air pressure. At the same time, he wore a special saber on his waist, called the Jigwing Dao, which was one of the 21 great swords. This sword was commissioned by Shiraishi from the Germa group. Although it was not one of the 12 supreme swords, it was still the top sword at the time. The katana sword, also known as the Nodachi sword, has a straight blade, and was made by the Bizan swordsmith Kunizun. In the history of Wano country, the sword was favored by the Usuji daimyo. The handle and scabbard were made of 5-foot-long natural logs, hence the name. Later, it became the sword passed down from generation to generation by the Usuji family. Decades ago, when the Usuji family was destroyed due to internal turmoil in Wano, this sword also spread overseas, and is now in the hands of Uchiha Madara. It was obvious that relying solely on the Uchiha fan and the sickle had a surprising effect in the weapon confrontation, but facing a top swordsman like Balorik, Uchiha Madara suffered a big loss. Go to Bika to seize the natural thunder fruit, and then prepare to attack Apeado. The entire Sky Island is currently very suitable as our operating sphere of influence. At present, the strength of the Navy and the world government has not been weakened as seriously as it would be more than 10 years later. Therefore, even in the New World, there are few pirates who openly enclose their spheres of influence like the future 4 emperors. Therefore, Shiraishi set his sights on Sky Island in the first half of the Grand Line. Since there was little communication with the world below, only Roger and his team had been to Sky Island so far. Therefore, Shiraishi was prepared to take a preemptive strike and incorporate Sky Island forces into his territory. To seize Kangdao, Shiraishi directly adopted the inner row method, starting with Bika to form the Kingdom of God Legion in the original work, and then counterattacked Apeado. It is obvious that the so-called God of Sky Island is actually a manager jointly recommended by multiple Sky Islands, but the Sky Island family that owns Apeado, the land of heaven, has the greatest say. The priests who came to manage it later were obviously from the non-Apeado and Angel Island lineages. Have you all adapted to the climate of Sky Island now? Most of the crew members basically stabilized their physical condition after drinking the potion for a period of time, but Shiraishi still felt that there were not enough manpower, and the size of his pirate group could not support his plan. In order to maintain control over the Sky Island, we must rule the people on the Sky Island with the people on the Sky Island. In addition to being the key to Shiraishi's seizure of the Thunder Fruit, Bika Island is also a key part of Shiraishi's plan to pursue the entire Sky Island. As the largest island in the White Sea next to Angel Island, the angels here, like the residents of other empty islands, live a life without disputes. Compared with Apeado, the Sandians launch attacks on Apeado every year. The struggle to recapture Apeado is a very comfortable and laid-back place. Until a certain day a huge battleship slowly came to the island from a distance. The situation on the island was very curious. They looked at the Shukaku approaching from the White Sea in the distance, but when they saw the densely packed gun muzzles on the ship, their expressions changed. What is that? Looks like he's from Kinghei. Since Roger and his party had never been to Bika Island, the residents of Sky Island and the people from Kinghei were still very wary. Among them, the local priests looked at the people from Kinghei who appeared in front of them very seriously. The local priest of Bika Island is named Beifushin, and he is an old-fashioned god. However, compared to the unenterprising god of Apeado, Beifushin himself is an enterprising priest. At present, the number of priests and troops he has recruited on Bika Island is no less than that of Apeado. However, over the years, the priests and forces of the Bika Island series have never been involved in the conflict between the Sandia people and Apeado. Payado Angel War. Although Shiraishi doesn't know what the angels of Baka Island are thinking, based on the information he obtained about the future Enel priest army, it is obvious that after the local priests of Apayado were expelled, Enel still has a group of people who can help manage the airspace. The island priest is enough to show that the top management of the Sky Island Angel clan was not united to begin with. Even though Anaru later destroyed Bika Island, those trial priests were still willing to follow this god, which is enough to illustrate the ambition of Bika's angels. So taking advantage of this, Shiraishi visited Bika first instead of Apayado in the central area of Sky Island. There was no news from the toll gate, which proved that this group of people came with bad intentions, ready to fight. Although he was confused as to why the people from King Hei appeared in Baka instead of Apayado, who had a lot of gold, Beifushin was still ready to fight. Suddenly, a large number of angel legions with wings on their backs arrived quickly, holding weapons and aiming at the Sand Ninja Pirates. PS. I'm taking a day off tomorrow. I have something to do at home. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 473, I'm God. On Baka Island, facing the unfamiliar King Hei people, Beifushin, as the highest priest of Baka, held a spear and waited sternly for the process, but he felt a coldness rushing into his heart. Due to the location of the Sky Island, Shiraishi's frozen bad will become more powerful in such an environment. The moment Shiraishi, wearing a silver suit, steps onto this space in the air, the surrounding airflow changes dramatically. A fierce ice and snowstorm swept over, and soon 3 pairs of ice and snow wings appeared on the wings behind Beishi, as if they were gods from legend. Descending on Baka Island. The ice and snow condensed by the frost froze a large number of buildings on Baka Island as it fell, and many people from the Angel clan had to look at them in fear. Why does the King Hei man in front of me have 6 wings? And he seems to have the special ability to control the weather. It has to be said that Shiraishi's specially condensed shape has brought enough shock to the Angel tribe on Baka Island. Although they also have wings, it is the first time that they are dressed up with 6 wings and can control ice and snow. Arrive. Compared with other simple angels, Beifushin held a spear and looked at the white stone in the sky very seriously. Who are you? I am the real god. Deliberately lowering his voice, Shiraishi spoke in an electronically synthesized tone similar to Necrozma's. It must be said that his voice was much improved. At least everyone on Sky Island was completely frightened. Even the crew members on the Shukaku showed expressions of admiration. Only Madara Uchiha and others had expressions of disgust, feeling that Shiraishi's appearance made them feel very embarrassed. Shiraishi himself felt a little embarrassed. The trick of pretending to be a ghost is still so outdated, but the bunch of rubes in Kangdeo seemed to like it very much. What nonsense. Facing Beifushin's blowing beard and glare, Beishi still showed a very indifferent expression, as if he was a real god, looking at this land indifferently. At this time, Beishi slowly fell to the ground, and a huge cold snowstorm occurred. I'll take action once, and then I'll give you a chance to surrender. The terrifying frost swept over, and Beifushin knew that his opponent was powerful. During the dance of the spear in his hand, Beishi condensed a line of freezing light with a single finger, carrying the extremely domineering power of frost, and instantly froze Beifushin and transformed it for an iceberg. The priest was killed instantly with one move. Then Uchiha Madara spit out a will-o'-the-wisp with helplessness on his face and quickly melted the ice on Beifu Mountain. During this process, Shiraishi looked at the people on Baka Island in front of him with a serious face. Darkness has come to an end. Tears will temper hope. Confusion will illuminate firmness. Life will be dedicated to the gods. The special electronic synthesized sound was combined with Shiraishi's words. Beifushin listened to Shiraishi's deceptive words and wanted to stand up, but was suppressed by an invisible pressure. This guy won't let me get up. After a while, Beifushin couldn't support himself and had to half knelt in front of Beishi. For a moment, everyone on Baka Island gasped. The priest actually chose to surrender. Very satisfied with his performance, Shiraishi stepped forward with great pity. Holding the ice crystal in his hand, He seemed to be more divine under the cold light. All praises are the glory that God deserves. Every tear and every heartache is God's way of companionship. God comforts, God shows compassion, and God cannot bear the suffering of everyone. The moment he crushed the ice crystals, the surrounding frosty weather dissipated invisible, and Shiraishi seemed to be illuminated by countless rays of light, becoming very eye-catching. Meet. Got it. Has to be said that several of the escorts originally arranged by the Shukaku, such as Moyed and others, quickly knelt down and assumed a very pious posture. In addition, Beifushin was suppressed, so many angel tribesmen who did not know the truth began to choose to half kneel. Meet. Got several other subordinate priests originally wanted to go forward and fight, but when they saw Beifushin kneeling down and surrendering, coupled with Beishi's amazing strength, everyone on Kangdao immediately chose to kneel down and surrender, taking advantage of the situation to control the entire Bika Island. The process was very simple, mainly because the people on Kangdao were simple-minded and not as complicated as those in Qinghai. Therefore, Shiraishi changed his strategy slightly and took control of Bika immediately. As the priest of Bika Island, Beifushin felt aggrieved to welcome the so-called new master of Bika. Although he was unhappy, the trial officers and the angel army seemed to be very happy. With a powerful god as the leader, there is a chance to regain the dominance of the entire Sky Island from the Apayado family. This is because Temple Beifushin reluctantly led Beishi and others into the temple on Bika Island. The statue of the thunder god in the middle of the temple attracted Beishi's attention. The shape of the god of thunder that appeared in the original work Enalu's ultimate move 200 million volts. Thunder god is the thunder statue in front of you. At this time, Beifushin looked at Beishi very nervously. After all, the Bika temple is a symbol of the faith of the people of the entire Sky Island. Although Beishi and others forced him to enter the temple, he still did not want these Qinghai people to harm the temple. With a bang, the giant god of thunder suddenly shattered, and among the fragments of the broken statue, a devil fruit suddenly appeared. Sure enough, the thunder fruit is here. Beifushin's face was very angry. He couldn't help but attack with the spear in his hand, but was blocked by several priests. You don't be rude to God. Those who stopped Beifushin were his most valued subordinate in the past. In addition, there were Shadali, Shura, Gadas and others. In fact, they were also the four representatives of joy, anger, sorrow, and joy in the future Analu priest corps. It was obvious that these people had completely different ideas from Beifushin. Since Beifushin chose to surrender in public, the people in Qinghai in front of them were the gods they surrendered to. As for the statue of the god of thunder, it is nothing more than a dead object. Seeing everyone's gaze, Beifushin spat out a mouthful of blood. He did not expect that all his subordinates on Bika Island would defect to this group of Qinghai people with unknown origins so quickly. Yuan Thorn took the lead. Reading www.kanshu.net holding a cloud shell that can spray out iron clouds. Equipped on his sword is as light as a cloud, as hard as iron, and can stretch and change shape freely. Therefore, facing Beifu Mountain, directly takes action. Iron the cloud quickly pierced Beifushin's chest. The head of Beifu Mountain is dedicated to the great god. The slowly falling figure symbolizes that the overall situation of Bika Island has been decided. Beishi looked at the four great priests in front of him and understood in his heart. The next step is to conquer the ZHNGing area of Kangdao. Shiraishi's words made the four great priests look enthusiastically. How many years have passed? The greatest ideal of the Bika priests is to control Apayado and become the true master of this empty island. It's a pity that Beifushin is too old and useless to take on such a big responsibility. Now that there is a new god, and he has shown absolute strength, the priests directly choose to surrender and take refuge. Chapter 474, The Birth of the Pirate King. Hand calendar year 1499. The Sand Ninja Pirates, a supernova force that once emerged on the Grand Line, disappeared out of thin air for more than a year. All parties who thought that the Sand Ninja Pirates would make a big fuss were surprised as to why this pirate group would become quiet. Although the Navy headquarters and the World Government's intelligence organization searched everywhere, they finally got the news that the last island they stayed at was Gaia Island. After an assembly and transformation, They sailed to an unknown island. Sora was confused as to where the Sand Ninja pirates were active, but as time passed, Roger aspired to be the Pirate King in the second half of the New World, which suddenly attracted the attention of all parties around the world. After 3 years, Roger finally fulfilled his dream of domination on the Grand Line, and became the legendary Pirate King. Before Roger left, he drank alone with Whitebird Edward Newgate, the captain of the Whitebird pirates who often fought against him, in a place with many cherry blossom trees, and told Whitebird, who was confused about the truth about D's will. Another captain order was issued to officially disband the Roger pirates. Whitebird thought about Roger's actions for a long time, but he was still a lot confused. In the final place, in addition to the truth of the world, there are other incredible secrets. I never imagined that this world is so vast. The profound words represent that what Roger discovers in the final land is much more than meets the eye. Don't die, Roger. Hahaha. Don't worry, I won't die. Looking at Roger's back, Whitebird raised a glass of wine and drank it in big gulps. Shiraishi and his party have been staying on the Sky Island for the past year. Since receiving the support of the Bika series of priests, the Sand Ninja pirates have been preparing for a month to directly attack Appayado Point. Compared with the original Enaru's strategy, the Sand Ninja pirates are mainly based on Huarao. Although they defeated Ganfu, the Lord of the Sky Island, they did not expel him, but let him join the Bika series of priests. Manage the entire Sky Island. The Sandians continued to make troubles, but faced with the powerful Sand Ninja pirates, these people had to retreat. Over the past year, although Beishi has been mainly operating Sky Island forces, contact with the outside world has not been completely cut off. The White Sea Development Fleet has arrived in Visalia. This small Sky Island is currently the only artificial island in Qinghe that can be freely landed. Relying on Visalia's existence, Shiraishi regained contact with the Germa forces half a year later. The large amount of special products from Kangdeo and the gold from Appayado have brought Shiraishi closer to the Vinsmoke family. On the huge battle stage of Sky Island, Ace and Uchiha Madara are having a special competition. Uchiha Madara held the staff sword and instantly produced a powerful hardened slash. Ace, illuminated by the light, instantly turned into a flaming bird and quickly avoided Uchiha Madara's ultimate move point. Although Haki has a restraining effect on natural devil fruits, Ace has also never stopped practicing the burning fruit. Even when faced with Haki attacks, he can still dodge with certain element. Compared to the top 3 generals during the war, who showed a perfect combination of elemental abilities and domineering power, Ace is very aware of the gap between himself and them. As for Uchiha Madara, he is also very satisfied with Ace as his sparring partner. The continuous development of the power of the Dark Ninetales fruit has allowed him to master many special abilities of the Ninetales. Combined with the Haki of Insight, Uchiha Madara's observation and insight, the power reaches a very frightening level. With a flash of scarlet light in his eyes, Uchiha Madara's sword struck again, but he saw Ace condensing a flame gun with his hands and quickly thrust it out to block Uchiha Madara's powerful blow. The two sides went back and forth for several hours, and violent explosions erupted. Moyed and others who were watching the battle on one side were also frightened, fearing that the two bosses would dismantle the ship. Seeing that the two of them were getting more and more crazy as they fought, Uchiha slowly stepped forward and flashed the soul-cutting sword in his hand, creating a huge sword light that suddenly separated the two of them. That's it for today. If any of you have itchy hands, I will accompany you. Unohana. Ritsu spoke like a human evil spirit. Although Uchiha Madara and Ace wanted to continue fighting, they were not interested in fighting Unohana Ritsu, the sword demon. Instead of the two fighting, Shiraishi is now in a huge control room, talking to Gaji, the patriarch of the Vinsmoke family. Roger has surrendered to the Navy. Gaji's news made Shiraishi raise his eyebrows. The Pirate King will also surrender to the Navy? What kind of ironic news is this? No one knew what Roger was thinking, but the Navy seemed very excited and was preparing for a public execution for him. Although the Vinsmoke family is not a pirate, Gaji is very concerned about the changes on the Grand Line, and at the same time, he also passes a lot of recent news on the Qinghe Sea back to Shiraishi. There is still some time before the public execution. Once Roger dies and the era of great pirates comes, naturally there are many things that need to be arranged. Get Ready, let's go to King Hay. Over the years, Sky Island has been greatly improved in all aspects under Shiraishi's management. In addition, Shiraishi rarely manages the secular world below, and is mainly handled by Ganfu. Therefore, as time goes by, the former god gradually gets used to Sky Island being treated as such. This group of pirates rules reality. Ace, do you want to go to Rog Town with me? The question of Whitebird made Fire Fist Ace silent for a long time. Roger, the Pirate King, was his biological father. Although he had always admired Whitebird, he also had some subtle emotions towards the Pirate King. Datton, the bandit who took care of him, said that his father Roger was a very impatient and willful person when provoked, but his behavior was as straightforward and simple as a child. Reading www.ukashu.net. In fact, he cherishes his partners very much, and therefore he has won their trust, because he does not want the enemy to chase his partners behind him. He will never run away even when faced with strong enemies. He will never allow others to speak ill of his partners. In the past, it has destroyed a country's army. Roger's character is the same as his own, and even Luffy's. Maybe this is the so-called will of D, but at the same time, Ace could not forgive Roger. Because of his relationship, his mother would not delay the birth date to protect him, and eventually died after giving birth. Ace clenched his fists and showed a firm look. I also want to witness the coming of that era with my own eyes. The 20 years after Roger's death were the most chaotic era of the Grand Line. It was also at that time that the four emperors began to rise and even forced the navy to recruit King Shichibuke to contain the four emperors, and eventually formed the three major forces of the Grand Line relation. Shiraishi thought of this and slowly put on his gloves. However, compared to more than a year ago, there were only 2 gems on the gloves, but now there was an unexpected extra gem. Chapter 475, The Situation in Rog Town. 1. Surrounded by white sea clouds, it gives the entire giant artificial island a dreamy feel. Shukaku is docked on a special ship on an artificial island. A unique device fixes a hull to avoid accidents during the descent. However, when it reaches an altitude of 1000 meters, the artificial island cannot continue to descend, and the Shukaku must be dropped. For this reason, the staff installed a special suspended airflow device on the Shukaku's hull. Compared with the ordinary Sky Island ascending and descending mode, this method is relatively safer. As for going to the Sky Island, it is also through an artificial island like Visalia. Under the power of the special airjet giant well, it is directly pushed onto the huge artificial island. During the descent of the Shukaku, special suspended airjets ejected huge pressure, and with the assistance of parachute-like octopus-like creatures, the Shukaku fell to the sea very smoothly. Just after Shiraishi and others completed their descent, they discovered that there was a huge alarm sound all around. Because the area where Shiraishi and others landed was almost within the windless zone. Windless belt, the strip area on both sides of the Great Channel, where pirates are prevalent, is very dangerous for pirates in the age of sailing due to the lack of wind. Moreover, there are also a large number of Sea Kings living here, which increases its danger. The landing position of artificial islands is basically in the windless zone to avoid being discovered by the Navy and other pirates, but it will also cause some unnecessary troubles, such as the Sea King type. It is very rare for hundreds of Neptunes to appear on both sides of the sea. It is obvious that Shiraishi and the others are very unlucky and accidentally encountered a large migration of Neptunes. The huge crocodile-like creatures were locked tightly on the Shukaku. Compared with other Sea Kings, Shiraishi could feel the ferocity and irritability of these creatures in front of him. Let me take care of these Neptunes. Shiraishi is holding the deep sea glove, and in the process of opening the yin and yang with both palms. The Zoo-wide on the right hand represents the poison type gem, and interacts with the third gem on the left hand, which is the dragon type gem. The combination of poison type and dragon type gems creates a special equipment effect. The special 4-jaw needle dragon sword hilt surrounds the white stone silver sword, and a sharp cold light blooms in an instant. The deep sea gloves are divided into 2 parts, the left and right parts. The diamond encrusted gems on the right hand have special biological symbol marks. For example, ice type gems represent frozen birds, and poison type gems represent zoo-wide. The third gem is set with diamonds on the left hand. Compared with the biomark of the right hand, the gem on the left hand is a special auxiliary attribute gem point in the Buka temple. In addition to obtaining the thunder fruit, Shiraishi accidentally noticed that there was a special attribute gem hidden in the statue. When he picked up the gem, although there was no biological signature, attribute signatures appeared. The deep sea gloves themselves were originally designed and manufactured by Shiraishi. At that time, Shiraishi directly speculated that the gemstones on the left hand might have different effects from the gemstones on the right hand. Under the blessing of the hilt of the four-jawed needle dragon, the silver sword produced a special silver light. Shiraishi slashed horizontally with the sword, and the powerful sword light cut off one of the Neptune-like heads. The light in the silver sword became even more intense. Just like a demon knife, the hilt of the four-jawed needle dragon allows Shiraishi's weapon to have a fatal sting effect. Once an enemy is defeated, the silver sword's destructive power will be even higher. This is the fatal sting effect point. Although it is an auxiliary equipment, it is a rare magic weapon for Shiraishi's melee combat, which is equivalent to continuous buff stacking. The white stone danced on the sea, constantly killing Sea Kings. Seeing their captain's crazy performance, several crew members got used to it. Half a day later, hundreds of Sea Kings fell at the feet of Beishi. Countless blood almost dyed the sea area red. The silver knife in Beishi's hand had already been dyed blood red, and a strong evil aura was generated all over his body. The blade was quickly retracted, and after the four-jawed needle dragon equipment disappeared, everything seemed to have returned to calm. 9 kinds of creatures, 9 kinds of auxiliary equipment, as there are a total of 36 different combinations and combinations. This guy has become stronger again. Uchiha. Madara narrowed his eyes, and the sword in his hand almost itched unbearably. Shiraishi's series of unparalleled performances just now also inspired his strong fighting spirit, and he felt a fighting spirit all over his body. Even Shiraishi looked at him sideways. After the situation on the empty island is stabilized, the captain's next goal will be the entire Grand Line. Moyed and other senior crew members looked expectantly. The better their captain performed, the more nourishing their lives would be for these pirates. This time going to the sea, the Sand Ninja pirates will be involved in the chaotic era of the entire Grand Line. Now that they have a complete rear base of Sky Island, Shiraishi's goal is obviously the entire King Hay Point. Artificial islands like Visalia have just been able to rise and fall freely. Currently, Shiraishi has recruited enough technical personnel to plan to build similar artificial lifting islands in multiple areas of the entire Sky Island to facilitate the access of pirate group members. The White Sea area of Kang Island is very large. In addition to Apeado, Bika and other areas where the Angel tribe is concentrated, there are other small White Sea islands. The connection locations below these islands may be other sea areas. According to the original work, the New World is directly beneath part of the Sky Island area. In fact, Sky Island is the third way to pass through the New World in the second half of the Grand Line. From the beginning, Shiraishi has listed Sky Island as the most important route. Only when the back of Sky Island is stable can the Sand Ninja pirates become more prosperous and powerful. For this world, the Sky Island area is a perfect natural barrier. The White Sea is easy to defend, but difficult to attack. Generally, ships must attack through the terrifying currents of Gaia Island. UU reading.ukanshu.net, and every current is not necessarily you can rush directly to the Sky Island, and it is very likely that the ship will be smashed midway. Therefore, Shiraishi is particularly concerned about the management of Sky Island. As a Kazekage for many years, he has abundant management experience. Based on the policy of employing people without doubt, Ganfu, Ohm and other local priests of Sky Island continue to manage people's livelihood, while Shiraishi mainly uses in operating peripheral areas as the overall strength of Sky Island became stronger, and the various phone bugs brought by Shiraishi allowed the angels to gradually understand the external situation. The foundation of the Sand Ninja pirates on Sky Island was finally stabilized. In less than 2 years, Shiraishi stayed on Sky Island to maintain stable rule. It can be seen that, in order to completely control a regional power, it is actually very complicated to encounter various problems compared to the rough rule of Enelu. Shiraishi chose a relatively gentle approach. Therefore, over time, the local residents of Sky Island gradually accepted this status quo. I saw special power airflow ejected from the hull of the Shukaku, and I saw the ship slowly stepping out of the windless zone. After 2 years of rest, the brand new Shukaku set sail again. This time, the windless zone, where the artificial island descended, was directly connected to the Red Earth continent, and the upside down mountain was soon visible again. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.